Chapter 32-37. Chun Zhao picked up his phone and was about to call Priest Wu. Suddenly, a gaping mouth popped out of the cave and bit at Chun Zhao. It was a large snake, and it had a pair of front claws. However, it didn't have any hind limbs. It was just a two-legged snake. It was around 20 meters long. Chun Zhao grabbed the woman's collar and instantly retreated out of the two-legged snake's attack range. The two-legged snake kept pouncing at Chun Zhao. However, after extending for around 20 meters, its body seemed to be frozen and couldn't move any further. Chun Zhao uttered a soft question, but he immediately understood. The two-legged snake must have been sealed in the cave. Then, it used the woman to trick innocent people into feeding the two-legged snake. The two-legged snake tried with all its might in Chun Zhao's direction, but it didn't succeed. It straightened its body and was only half an inch away from Chun Zhao. The pungent smell assaulted Chun Zhao's nostrils. However, Chun Zhao still had a smile and a bit of mockery on his face. He slowly took out his phone and looked at the two-legged snake. "If you don't work harder, I'll inform the Taoist priest from Dragon Tiger Mountain." "Woman, it's time to use you," the two-legged snake shouted. The woman suddenly pushed Chun Zhao's back. However, Chun Zhao didn't move at all. "You're with him?" The woman was dumbfounded. Did she use too little strength just now? Chun Zhao looked at the woman with interest. "I don't know what you get out of working with a monster like this. Does it give you money or power?" The woman made a sad face. "I'm poisoned by it. It said that it'll only give me the antidote if I lure 3 people over for it to eat." Chun Zhao glanced at the two-legged snake. "You're quite creative." "I was forced. I had no choice," the woman cried. "Where's your so-called friend?" "He, I already ate him," the two-legged snake said. The two-legged serpent said. This woman lured her friend here without any hesitation. Suddenly, the two-legged snake spat out black smoke at Chun Zhao. The black smoke enveloped Chun Zhao and the woman. Seeing that Chun Zhao was enveloped, the two-legged snake was overjoyed. "Ha! Now that you've been poisoned, you'd better listen to me. Otherwise, your entire body will fester and you'll die within 3 days." "Is that so?" Your life is now in my hands. You have to believe it even if you don't want to. I can use another method." Chun Zhao looked around. Then he jogged to a nearby place and picked up a rock. Then, it smashed towards the two-legged snake's head. The two-legged snake howled in pain. "Human, how dare you? Are you tired of living?" Chun Zhao picked up another rock and threw it at the two-legged snake. "Anyway, I still have 3 days. If I can't live after 3 days, then I won't let you have it easy." The woman was dumbfounded. She had never seen such a silly person. Anyway, she couldn't be as dumb as Chun Zhao. The two-legged snake shrieked and was about to shrink back into its cave. "If you dare to retreat, I will go down the mountain to buy gasoline and pour into your cave. I don't believe that you are impervious to fire and water." "Human, you're going too far. You are a snake, not a human." Chun Zhao threw another rock at it. The two-legged snake didn't understand how Chun Zhao could be so strong. Even with his huge body, he still couldn't take the force of Chun Zhao's rock. Every time the rock landed on its body, it would bleed. The two-legged snake was in so much pain that it wanted to shrink back into its cave. But it was afraid of Chun Zhao's threat. It had never seen such a troublesome human. Even the Taoist priest from Dragon Tiger Mountain was 100 times kinder. "Woman, stop this asterisk shoal. Do you want to live or not?" The woman hesitated for a long time and looked around. Chun Zhao glanced at her. "Woman, think about it. Even if you fulfill his conditions and trick 3 people to feed him, will he fulfill his promise? Why don't we force him to take out the antidote now? Anyway, he's trapped. He can't attack us or run away. If he doesn't let us have it easy, we won't let him have it easy either." The woman was silent for a while. Finally, she gritted her teeth and picked up the rock, throwing it at the two-legged snake. She wasn't strong enough to hurt the two-legged snake, but the two-legged snake was furious. "Woman, I want you to die a horrible death. All of you. After I get out, I'll make you all die a horrible death." "Hey Wu, it's me, Chun Zhao. I'm in the forest halfway up Dragon Tiger Mountain. Do you know what's here?" "Oh, prepare something for me. There's a lot of stuff. I'll text you." Half an hour later, Priest Wu arrived on a three-wheeled tricycle. The tricycle was filled with all sorts of things. Among them was the gasoline that Chun Zhao had mentioned earlier. Priest Wu parked the tricycle and looked at the two-legged snake in the distance. "What's going on? Did this monster offend you? He just sprayed black gas at me and said that I only have 3 days to live. I'm forcing him for the antidote." Priest Wu was speechless. "Are you kidding me? How can this snake demon, who hasn't even become a flood dragon, threaten you? Then this woman she's poisoned too. She was threatened to give 2 batches of benefits to the snake demon. Have fun. The film crew is busy." With that, Priest Wu turned to leave. The woman and the snake demon were surprised to see that Chun Zhao was so familiar with the Taoist priest from Dragon Tiger Mountain. The woman saw that Priest Wu didn't panic at all toward the two-legged snake. She immediately guessed that Priest Wu might have a solution. On the other hand, the two-legged snake thought that Chun Zhao might be a cultivator too. This made it even more panicky. If Chun Zhao was a regular person, he could handle it for a while. But if Chun Zhao was a cultivator, the situation was completely different. When a cultivator faced a sealed monster, he had 10,000 ways to make himself wish he was dead. Chun Zhao flipped the tricycle around and picked up a bunch of firecrackers that had been rolled up into a circle. His expression turned malicious. The two-legged snake panicked even more. It immediately yelled, "Human, I'll give you the antidote. I'll give you the antidote. Don't do anything stupid. I don't believe you'll give me the antidote. You're definitely just brushing me off or waiting for me to lower my guard to ambush me." Chun Zhao had already lit the firecrackers. While the two-legged snake was opening its mouth, he threw the firecrackers into its mouth. By the time the two-legged snake reacted, the entire bundle of firecrackers had already been stuffed into its throat. Crack, crack. The two-legged serpent was seething with anger. It was really seething with anger. It felt terrible, really terrible. The firecrackers couldn't hurt it, but it still felt terrible. It had seen disgusting people, but never as disgusting as this. Chapter 32-38. That Taoist knows how to detoxify poisons, right? Why didn't you ask him for help? The woman asked. Chun Zhao glanced at the woman. He doesn't know how to detoxify. We have to find this snake. Then, Chun Zhao looked at the two-legged snake with evil intentions. The look made the two-legged snake's hair stand on end. "Human, what exactly do you want? What do you want? It should be what you want. I'm already poisoned. What else do you want?" Chun Zhao didn't look like a victim at all. He looked more like the perpetrator. On the other hand, the two-legged snake was the real victim. Chun Zhao searched the tricycle for a long time. He actually found a box of firearms from the anti-Japanese war. He didn't know how the Celestial Master sect got it. And how did they keep it until now? Seeing Chun Zhao, the two-legged snake immediately had a bad feeling. Very bad. When Chun Zhao threw the stone earlier, it only hurt at most. But this thing could really hurt him. The two-legged snake only had 300 years of cultivation. It couldn't even transform. Normally, snakes could choose 2 paths. One was to transform into a dragon. It would become a serpent in 500 years, then a horned dragon in 500 years, and then a winged dragon in 1,000 years. The other path was to transform into a demon, which was commonly known as a snake demon. If it was a demon, it could transform into a human in 200 years. The two-legged snake walked the path of transforming into a dragon. The two-legged snake was the type with extremely poor talent. It chose the wrong path. It didn't have the potential to transform into a dragon, so it had to take the path. As a result, it couldn't even transform into a serpent after 300 years. It even had to devour living creatures to replenish its energy and condense essence blood. After 300 years of cultivation, he actually transformed into something neither a flood dragon nor a snake. A few decades ago, China was facing a disaster. The two-legged snake took the opportunity to wreak havoc. In the end, it was suppressed here by a Taoist priest from Dragon Tiger Mountain. The priest had his own thoughts. He felt that it wasn't easy for the two-legged snake to cultivate, so he didn't kill it. If it were Chun Zhao, he would have become snake soup already. The two-legged snake looked at the old grenade in Chun Zhao's hand. He had seen the power of this thing. "Don't mess around. No rush, no rush. We have all the time in the world. Chen Zhao grinned. Actually, I'm just joking with you. You're not poisoned. How can you die from being poisoned for 3 days? In fact, if a snake wanted to cultivate to become a dragon, it would first have to remove the 2 poisonous fangs and then spit out the poison sac. Without removing the fangs, one could not transform into a dragon. A dragon was the perfect image in the eyes of the Chinese. Dragons, on the other hand, did not belong to the 5 elements and were not tainted by karma. They had reached the perfect celestial being realm. The poison was insidious and could not be left alive. If the snake did not remove its fangs and spit out its venomous sac, it would have died. In the process of cultivation, the power of one's own snake venom would multiply. However, when they shed their snake bodies, they would poison themselves to death. The woman had been terrified at first, but now she was completely numb. When it came to seeking death, Chen Zhao was really good at it, as long as they maintained a safe distance. The 2-legged snake couldn't do anything to him. The woman finally understood. He killed 2 of his friends because of his stupidity. Look at Chen Zhao. It had only been half a day. He had already made the 2-legged snake kneel down and call him daddy. I told you you're not poisoned. Even if you want the antidote, I don't have it. Bullshit, you must be lying to me. I'm cultivating to become a dragon from a snake. I haven't even become a dragon yet. Where did the poison come from? I've heard about poisonous dragons. That's a natural dragon. It's not the same as mine, okay? Is that so? Of course. I still don't believe you. The 2-legged snake really wanted to cry. I said it so sincerely. What else do you want me to do? You must have the antidote? Of course. The 2-legged snake could no longer reply. He had already explained 100 times that Chen Zhao wasn't poisoned. He didn't have the antidote either. But Chen Zhao just didn't believe it. Where could he get the antidote for Chen Zhao? Moreover, he suspected that Chen Zhao didn't want the antidote at all. Chen Zhao just wanted to torture him. That's right. He wanted to torture him. Knives, spears, sticks, and sticks are all child's play. There are also many guns and ammunition left from the war. There are even more shocking things. For example, sprinkling caltrops on the ground. The 2-legged snake jumped on the ground. Then a butt full of caltrops. For example, he sprinkled gasoline on the 2-legged snake. The 2-legged snake was almost broken. I heard that snake venom can be detoxified with snake gall. Give me your gallbladder to cure the poison. Human? You're too much. The 2-legged snake roared, flustered and exasperated. He'd never seen such an evil person before. He had some cultivation, but he was the same as a human. He couldn't give his organs to others to play with, right? You have to give it, even if you don't want to. The woman was completely dumbfounded. Was this guy even human? Why did it feel like he was the real monster? He was so evil that he couldn't be reasoned with. Now, the woman actually pitted the 2-legged snake. No more. Chen Zhao glanced at the equipment he'd used up. The 2-legged snake could finally sigh in relief. Too scary? This guy was simply the nightmare of his life. Even if all the enemies and enemies in this life were added together, they might not be as scary as this guy. That's it for today. I'll come again tomorrow. I hope you'll have the antidote ready. I told you I don't have the antidote. You're not poisoned. Then I don't care. The woman was dumbfounded. How could he say that he'd stop? Aren't you being a little irresponsible by doing this? Chen Zhao couldn't care less. What about me? What about you? You wanted to call the police? You gave 2 friends to this snake to eat? A dangerous glint appeared in the woman's eyes. Chen Zhao also saw the viciousness in her eyes. He knew what she was thinking. Don't do something you're not good at. Chen Zhao chuckled at the woman. Martial power? Men still have absolute authority. If you want to kill them, you need to think about it. For example, when I'm not here tonight, discuss with everyone. Acting rashly will only make you die a horrible death. The woman's smile was forced. Sir, I don't know what you're talking about. It's best that you don't know. After all, I'm not a good person. The woman didn't dare to think anymore. At least, she didn't have the courage to take risks in front of Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao wasn't a good person. It could be seen from how he could calmly deal with the 2 snakes. This man was even more dangerous than the 2-legged snake. Just as the woman had said, she needed to think about it carefully. Chen Zhao left rather casually. The woman took a deep breath. Looking at Chun Zhao's back, she didn't leave immediately. Instead, she waited until Chun Zhao left. With a dark expression, she walked toward the two-legged snake. Chapter 32-39. The two-legged snake stared at the woman. "Do you want to die?" the two-legged snake asked. The woman looked at the two-legged snake calmly. "Do you still have a right to threaten me? I can eat you in one bite, and you won't be able to resist." But the woman was still as calm as usual, her expression indifferent. Instead, she looked at the two-legged snake with disdain and mockery. It was as if their positions had been switched. "You're not afraid of me? You were scared to death before." The woman seemed to not hear the two-legged snake's threat. She stood there calmly and stared at the snake. "You won't end up much better than me. Although that person caused a little trouble for me, do you really think that this little trouble can kill me?" The two-legged snake was still very confident in itself. That's right. From the beginning, Chun Zhao had not shown any abilities that were out of the ordinary. The Taoist from Dragon Tiger Mountain had also chosen to watch from the side. This made the snake feel that it was safe. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. What if it's like this every day? He seems to enjoy it. How long do you plan on enduring it? It's more painful than death. Hearing this, the two-legged snake fell silent. "How are you going to remove this seal?" The two-legged snake looked at the woman in surprise. "What do you mean? My condition is simple. I'll remove the seal for you, and you kill that person. Aren't you afraid that I'll eat you first after I remove the seal? So we need a guarantee so that you won't break your promise." "I can swear." "Do you think I should believe a snake demon's oath?" The woman sneered. "I'm not a snake demon. Also, what do you want?" The two-legged snake corrected the woman's way of addressing itself. Even the Taoist from Dragon Tiger Mountain thought of itself as a snake demon. However, the two-legged snake always felt that it was not a snake demon. "Is there a contract that can at least guarantee that you won't eat me after you break free? If you can guarantee that I can live in your body after I break free, then I don't need any guarantees." "You want to take over my body?" "Take over my body? You're thinking too much. I have my own body, so I don't need yours. I just want to enter the world. Look at me. I'll be beaten to death the moment I leave Mount Longhu. Then how do I know that you won't do anything to harm me? For example, controlling my mind." The two-legged snake couldn't help but roll its eyes. If he had that kind of ability, would he still need to coax and deceive her? The woman also seemed to think that her thoughts were unnecessary. "How do I know you won't give me trouble? If you go around eating people and then hide in my body, you will only bring me trouble. As long as you give me enough blood. You want me to continue finding victims for you? Women can sacrifice their friends to protect themselves." But that didn't mean she was willing to continue serving the two-legged snake. "If you have money, you could buy livestock for me to eat. For me, humans are not necessary." "That's not a problem, but I need a stronger guarantee, not just a verbal promise." "Then what kind of guarantee do you want?" "At the very least, it's a restriction that prevents you from acting recklessly." The two-legged snake naturally didn't want to give the woman a way to restrict him. After all, he was still in a shackle. Of course, he didn't want to jump from one shackle to another. This was the point of their argument. Neither could trust the other. They lacked the most basic trust. Naturally, they couldn't continue working together. The next day, Chun Zhao came again. This time he brought many new tools. He even brought a sprinkler and a generator. He sprinkled water and generated electricity at the same time. The two-legged snake was tortured to the point that he wanted to die. Chun Zhao played until the sky darkened. Then, he reluctantly said goodbye to the two-legged snake. Not long after Chun Zhao left, the woman came again. "How was your day?" The two-legged snake didn't speak, but even so, the wounds on his body couldn't be hidden. The two-legged snake stared at the woman for a long time. Then he stuck out a black bead and said, "This is a poison bead refined from my poison sac. It can ward off poison. For me, if I don't use it for 3 months, I'll be poisoned to death by my own poison." The woman picked up the poison bead. "You gave it to me, so if I destroy or throw it away, you'll definitely die?" "Yes." "Then is there such a possibility? Give me the poison bead, and I'll help you undo the seal. And when you need the poison bead for the first time, if I give it back to you, I won't be able to restrict you anymore. You can find a cultivator and ask him to teach you how to refine the poison bead, or I can teach you. Okay, let's get back to business. How do I undo your seal? The woman was quite satisfied with the snake's sincerity. Actually, the two-legged snake's seal wasn't difficult. She just had to move something in the eye of the formation. The two-legged snake could break free. So, even a regular person could easily undo his seal. Under the two-legged snake's guidance, the woman easily undid the seal. I'm finally free, the two-legged snake shouted excitedly. But just then, a gust of spiritual chi shot out from the undone eye and shot into the sky. The two-legged snake's expression changed. Oh no, what's wrong? There's something sealed in the eye. What? Aren't you the one sealed? No, I'm also part of the seal. The two-legged snake suddenly realized this too. He only noticed it when he saw the change in the eye. Let's go. That thing is coming out. Go. We're not staying. You promise me? Kill that guy. The woman was so determined to kill Chun Zhao because Chun Zhao knew about her scandals. She didn't want to go to jail. She didn't want to lose her reputation. She could do it for her life. She tricked her friend here to feed the snake. She could also do it for her reputation and status and escape punishment. She could even kill Chun Zhao, the insider. So, she really didn't want to leave. Stay? If that thing comes out, we'll all die. Even you can't beat it? Are you kidding? You're using the mountain river seal? With me as the core, the thing sealed is probably 100 times stronger than me. If that thing comes out, it can kill us in minutes. Even so, the woman didn't have much love. Plus, she didn't know if the two-legged snake was telling the truth. If that person comes and encounters the sealed thing, he'll die for sure. We don't have to do anything. Hearing that, the woman heaved a sigh of relief. You're sure that person is dead for sure? I'm very sure. Chapter 3240. Mr. Chun, there seems to be a problem with the seal at the back of the mountain. Did you get rid of the snake? No, I had a great time these 2 days. I was planning to stay for a few more days, Chun Zhao replied. Is there a problem? Because he'd realized that the seal on the two-legged snake was strange. Logically speaking, the snake demon could easily be crushed to death. With Dragon Tiger Mountain's Celestial Master's sect, they could easily send someone. It wasn't to the point where they could only seal it and not kill it. Most of the time, sealing was a choice made when the enemy couldn't be killed. For example, every time Zhang Tianyi imagined a conflict with Chun Zhao, how would he seal Chun Zhao? He had never been thinking about how to defeat or eliminate Chun Zhao, because Zhang Tianyi knew very well that it was almost impossible to defeat or kill Chun Zhao. Only a seal could do it. The two-legged snake wasn't at the level where it could only be sealed. Moreover, the seal was strange. It was very weak. The terrain in the forest was also strange. It seemed to be closely related to the seal. Because of this, Chun Zhao didn't kill the two-legged snake. Did you touch something and the seal loosened? Maybe. In that case, you can handle it. If the seal is still there, you don't have to do anything. If the thing inside escapes, please get rid of it, Mr. Chun. Chun Zhao sighed. He felt that he'd created trouble for himself again. But this indeed had something to do with him. He could only clean up after himself. That snake demon can be killed, right? It's not that snake demon, Priest Wu said. That snake demon is actually the seal itself. There's a devil's den suppressed under the seal. There's a 1,000-year-old corpse demon in the den. Old Wu, let me ask you seriously. You've never schemed against me, right? Mr. Chen, what are you talking about? Schemed against you? Whatever, it's fine. Go back to your work. Chun Zhao went to the forest behind Dragon Tiger Mountain. As expected, the two-legged snake was gone. The cave that the two-legged snake had sealed was gone too. Even a small hill was gone. There was only a crack on the ground. There was a huge amount of corpse chi that kept coming out. Chun Zhao had a headache. He was sure that this was a trap set up by Priest Wu. No, this was a trap set up by Zhang Tianyi. He had schemed and schemed, but in the end, he still fell into Zhang Tianyi's scheme. Perhaps he went abroad just to cooperate with his clumsy scheme. Chun Zhao sighed and could only jump into the cave. At this moment, the tomb of the evil spirit king was sealed. Zhang, are you sure you didn't trick me? Zhang Tianyi was confused. The evil spirit king in front of him was also confused. He felt that the old man in front of him was very dangerous. But John Sr. kept stopping Zhang Tianyi. On the day Zhang Tianyi arrived, he wanted to help old John solve his problem as soon as possible. After all, old John's favor was quite valuable. However, he felt that old John was a little strange. This evil spirit king doesn't seem to be as difficult to deal with as I thought. Does it have to be sealed for a few days? If it was him, half a day would be enough to make this evil spirit king retreat for 300 years. But old John didn't kill the king of evil spirits. He was not allowed to seal it. He said that he needed to purify the evil energy in the evil spirit king. He had to wait a few days. After waiting for a long time, the purification was finally finished. Zhang Tianyi thought that he could finally seal it. But old John said that there were other procedures. Old John glanced at Zhang Tianyi gently. Why would I trick you? Fine. Tell me how many procedures are there first? Not much. It'll be done soon. I need to leave a mark on his body first. Hurry up. Zhang Tianyi calmed his impatience. The evil spirit king didn't dare to act recklessly. Old John was the pope of the church. He was definitely powerful. But what he really cared about was Zhang Tianyi. This old man gave him a very dangerous feeling. Anyway, the evil spirit king didn't want to move now. He just wanted to find a place to cower. Another day passed. Zhang Tianyi couldn't help it anymore. Old John, if I knew it would be so complicated, I should have waited outside first. Zhang Tianyi thought that it would only take an hour. He didn't think that old John's preparation would take a day. Sure, old John nodded. Wait until I'm ready, then come down. It's been a day. You're not ready? It's still early. If it's easy, do you think I need your help? Zhang Tianyi had just left the sealed area and was about to make a call, but he realized that there was no signal. Zhang Tianyi pulled one of old John's followers over. Why is there no signal here? Celestial Master? Because there are many evil beings sealed here. Who knows how they'll escape? That's why almost all methods of communication with the outside world are sealed here. Only the simplest method of physical information transmission is preserved. Fine. Zhang Tianyi put away his phone helplessly. He felt that the church was too cautious. He had never heard of any evil beings that could escape through signals. Do you still think they're artificial intelligence? I shouldn't have agreed to old John's request. So troublesome. Now, Zhang Tianyi understood how Chun Zhao had felt in the past. It was a problem that could be solved in half a day, but he had to drag it out. Another 2 days of waiting? Zhang Tianyi felt that something was wrong. Just then, old John finally called him back to the tomb department. Zhang Tianyi looked at old John. Old John, are you messing with me? It's been 2 days, and he doesn't seem to have changed at all. He hasn't changed at all, old John said seriously. You just can't see it. Zhang Tianyi stared at old John. Old John felt a bit awkward under Zhang Tianyi's gaze. I'm very sure now that you're messing with me, Zhang Tianyi said seriously. Really, you're really wrong. Why are you messing with me? Zhang Tianyi looked at old John with certainty. Old John's expression was awkward. Chun Zhao asked me to help. He just wants to invite you over for a few days. Fuck. Zhang Tianyi immediately understood what was going on. Chun Zhao was afraid that Chun Zhao would trick him, so he probably sent him away. Then he secretly ran back to China. Can't this little brat trust me for once? Zhang Tianyi turned to leave, but he came back after 2 steps. What's going on? Did you seal this place? To stall for time, old John said helplessly. With your ability, you'll need around 10 days to undo the seal. Zhang Tianyi almost had a heart attack from anger. Chapter 32:41. Zhang Tianyi and Chun Zhao had both fallen into a trap. However, he still firmly believed that he had been tricked by Zhang Tianyi. How could there be such a coincidence? Moreover, the 1,000-year corpse demon he killed last night was ridiculously strong. Even Chun Zhao himself found it difficult. Moreover, he had a huge and terrifying army. They called themselves the 1,000-year army. Chun Zhao used almost all his strength. To say that he had encountered such a powerful enemy was a coincidence. Chun Zhao would never believe it. Therefore, Chun Zhao firmly believed that he had been tricked. He hadn't completely wiped out the 1,000-year army either. The main reason was that the environment in the demonic cave was extremely complicated. Chun Zhao had killed a 1,000-year-old corpse demon. If he used a big move, the 1,000-year army could be wiped out. But this demonic cavern was right beneath Mount Longhu. If Chun Zhao used his ultimate move, even Dragon Tiger Mount would sink by half. At that time, when Zhang Tianyi returned, he was afraid that he would really fight it out with him. Chun, why are you so listless today? If you had a friendly conversation with tens of thousands of strong men at night, you would also be dispirited. Okay, I remember that your sexual orientation is normal. Would you believe me if I told you that I saved the world again last night? I don't believe you. You never had the personality to save the world. Looks like you still don't know me well enough. Chun Zhao lay down lazily on Steven's director's chair. How's your filming going? How much longer? Smoother than I thought, Steven said. He didn't expect that the filming would go so smoothly. It was even smoother than the first documentary. On the one hand, it was Tong Yu's cooperation. Another option was to shoot on land. The Celestial Master sect of Longhu Mountain also cooperated fully. Therefore, he didn't encounter any trouble. Secondly, the plot settings were all within a controllable range. In about 2 weeks, we can finish shooting the material. 2 more weeks. If you're bored, you can go out and play for a while. Steven was very generous this time. After all, he had begged Chun Zhao to go with them. He was mainly worried that the risks would be uncontrollable. After all, they weren't filming humans but beasts. But now that he had been in contact with Tongyu for a long time, they soon discovered that Tongyu was a man in the guise of a beast. His behavior, habits, and the way he spoke were no different from humans. He also had the ability to learn, and he was quite good at it. During the half a month of filming, Tongyu's English had improved by leaps and bounds. Are you sure you don't need my help here? What can you do to help? You're about to lose your job as a translator. What a heartless fellow. I'll go to Shanghai first then. You'll be there when you're done filming. Okay, let's go. You're the biggest obstacle for the film crew. Steven was burning the bridge after crossing it. The film crew no longer needed Chun Zhao. So, Chun Zhao was naturally expelled. In fact, Steven also knew how bored Chun Zhao was on the mountain. According to Priest Wu, Chun Zhao had gotten himself into quite a bit of trouble. Chun Zhao didn't look like Steven or the rest of the crew. Once he got into work mode, he was completely immersed in the atmosphere of the filming. So, Steven followed Chun Zhao's wishes and chased Chun Zhao away so that he wouldn't cause trouble everywhere. Hearing that Steven wanted him to leave, Chun Zhao was overjoyed. Chun Zhao was never someone who could calm himself down. In the past few days, the quietest time for Chun Zhao was to read books in the Celestial Master Sect's library. Not only did he read them, but he also recorded them with his phone. After all, he needed a lot of things. Then, he printed out the things he recorded. Chun Zhao bought a ticket to Shanghai on the same day, far away from Dragon Tiger Mountain. Even though he had just gotten on the plane, Chun Zhao still felt happy. It was really too stuffy on the mountain. Moreover, Chun Zhao was constantly on guard against the traps Zhang Tianyi had set for him. You never knew when you'd be betrayed by him. It wasn't that Chun Zhao was being petty, but that old man was truly petty. Sir, what can I do for you? The stewardess in business class asked with a smile. Thank you, but I don't need anything for now. Just then, a woman wearing sunglasses walked over. Please excuse me. Thank you. Chun Zhao put his feet down. When the woman passed by, she was slightly stunned. Chun Zhao also noticed her momentary absent-mindedness. However, Chun Zhao didn't recognize her. He felt that she might have mistaken him for someone else. They were speechless on the way. It was only a 2-hour flight. When Chun Zhao got off the plane, Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing came to the airport to pick him up. Boss, let me carry the luggage. No need. Chun Zhao didn't let the two carry his luggage. It wasn't heavy anyway. Boss, is everything done? No. Steven is still filming. I was bored at Dragon Tiger Mountain, so I came to Shanghai to relax. Do you want to go to the hotel first or walk around the city? Yi Ziqing asked. Let's walk around first, Chun Zhao said. How about we go to the company first? Okay, let's go. Chun Zhao paused. It's almost New Year. How about we go buy some stuff and give the employees some benefits? Boss, we already have arrangements. You don't have to spend money. It was mainly because Chun Zhao's gifts were rather scary or expensive. When managing an employee in a company, the higher the benefits, the better it would be. High benefits would make people lose motivation to improve. Therefore, they felt that they should restrict Chun Zhao in this aspect. All right then, Chun Zhao said, how about we give everyone a phone? Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing smiled bitterly. Zhang Ting could only nod. Okay, I'll arrange it later. No need to use the company's account. I'll get it personally. Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing were already used to this result. But now, they knew Chun Zhao's wealth. In terms of actual wealth, even the top 10 Forbes people combined couldn't compare to Chun Zhao. There was no need to mention such a small thing. Just then, Chun Zhao fell to gaze. Chun Zhao turned his head and saw the woman sitting next to him on the plane in the distance. She was looking at him. Wait. Chun Zhao turned back and walked toward the woman. Seeing Chun Zhao, the woman immediately turned and left. She seemed to be intentionally avoiding Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao didn't chase after her. After all, he really didn't know the woman. It would be very rude to chase after her. Boss, what's wrong? No, nothing. Chun Zhao shook his head. Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing had already arranged a car for Chun Zhao. The three went to the animation company together. It was Chun Zhao's second time there. It was different from the first time. When he first came, the animation company was just a small workshop. Now, it had rented an entire floor in the famous business building. Chapter 3242. Miss Xiao, we found out from the Bureau of Industry and Commerce that the major shareholder of the animation company that rents our 19th floor is that person. His name is Chun Zhao. He's currently developing overseas, and we don't know his exact background. So he's in the animation industry. Xiao Jiaqio rubbed her chin. I also found out from Optoelectronics that they have filed for an animated movie project, and the investment is quite large. It's already underway. Xiao Jiaqio asked. Yes, it is in progress. Manager Liu, if I want you to terminate the lease contract, how much do you need to pay for the breach of contract? Miss Xiao, the annual rent for their company to rent the floor is 2 million yuan, and the contract is for 3 years. If the contract is terminated halfway, they will need to pay double the annual rent. In addition, it will affect our reputation, and the vacancy of the floor is also a loss. It is difficult for us to find a second company who can rent the whole floor in a short time. Xiao Jiaqio thought for a while and then said, I'll give you 3 million yuan. Cut off their company's water and electricity today and order them to move out of the office building immediately. Manager Liu looked embarrassed. Miss Xiao, I'm very familiar with the chairman of your group, or I can tell him directly, Xiao Jiaqio said. All right. Manager Liu also had a headache. Their group wasn't a house in a small alley. They were a large conglomerate with a market value of hundreds of billions. If he made a small commotion here, it would be magnified. It would have an impact on the entire group. Liu was the regional manager of Shanghai Feihong Group. He was in charge of 4 office buildings in Shanghai. Basically, the tenants of these office buildings were all under him. Xiao Jiaqio wasn't an industry insider. She thought she could solve it by opening her mouth. In fact, it was far more troublesome to operate than he had imagined. Did they really think that pulling a switch would solve the problem? If they really did that, any random small company could cause the stock price of one of the top real estate companies in the country to plummet by a few percentage points. What's more, the other party was in the animation industry, so he definitely had contact with the entertainment industry and the media. In this day and age, no matter who you offend, you shouldn't offend the entertainment circle. Of course, Xiao Jiaqio was also in the entertainment industry. She knew the higher-ups of the company. This was also the reason why Liu Yu gave her face. Of course, he had to give face, but he also had to be skillful. If he really rushed over recklessly, he would probably lose his life. After Xiao Jiaqio left, Liu Yu began to consider how to deal with this matter. Chief Chun, have you returned to Shanghai? You're really well informed, Chun Zhao teased. I feel more and more like your spy. However, Chun Zhao guessed that Wang He must have heard it from someone close to him, or he could ask the airline company. Regardless of whether it was within the country or abroad, This kind of information was not difficult to find out. Are you free? When? Up to you. I don't have dinner tonight, Chen Zhao said. How about tonight? All right. I'll book a restaurant. Don't be like last time. Find a Sichuan restaurant. I haven't had Sichuan cuisine for a long time. Sure. Even though Wang He was a big celebrity, it was not difficult for him to find a Sichuan restaurant that offered more privacy. After setting the time, Chen Zhao arrived on time. However, what surprised Chen Zhao was that Wang He had arrived earlier than him. He even brought a friend with him. Boss Chen, let me introduce you. This is Liu Yibo, Wang He said. Hello, Mr. Chen. Hello, Mr. Liu. Chen Zhao recognized Liu Yibo. He was not a celebrity, but he liked to be on the news. And it was even entertainment news. He was a tycoon in China and a big real estate developer. Why did he keep appearing on entertainment news? Because his girlfriends were all celebrities. Of course, he had a good reputation. Before Chen Zhao became famous, Liu Yibo was already an influential figure in the entertainment industry. Chen Zhao did not mind getting to know Liu Yibo. The three chatted as they ate, from the entertainment industry to the business world. Anyway, they could join in on any topic. It's hard to do business recently, Liu Yibo sighed. Boss Liu, you must be joking. You're one of the top tycoons in China. You're saying it's hard to do business? We'll probably have to beg on the streets. I'm in real estate. Recently, the banks have tightened their monetary policy and greatly reduced their lending. All the real estate developers in China are looking for funds. Hearing this, Chen Zhao understood. Why would Wang He bring Liu Yibo to this dinner? So he was here to get investors. Boss Liu's company doesn't lack investors, right? Boss Chen, I'll be honest. You have investors? But the money he took was not clean. What if the money entered the company? If the money goes into the company, it'll be discussed at any time, Liu Yibo said. At the same time, he looked at Chen Zhao sincerely. Boss Chen, are you interested? It's your company? Or project? The board of directors doesn't have any plans to increase shares, so it's a single project. What project? The tourism development plan for Big Mystery Island, Liu Yibo said. Chen Zhao was confused. He did not know what Big Mystery Island was. Liu Yibo took out a document from his bag and handed it to Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao flipped it open. Only now did he know about Big Mystery Island. Big Mystery Island was located in the sea outside of Shanghai. Its location was very similar to Los Angeles and Mysterious Island. From the proposal contained in this document, it could be seen that Big Mystery Island's location was similar to Mysterious Island. Perhaps because of Mysterious Island's success, there was a craze for island development all over the world. It was no exception in China. Developers of all sizes had their eyes on Big Mystery Island. Big Mystery Island did not have any divine artifact creatures. However, it was said that there were immortal treasures. Every few days, there would be vigorous, immortal clouds. This kind of scene was very popular in China. In addition, some people with ulterior motives added fuel to the fire, causing Big Mystery Island to become quite popular in China. Of course, there was still a long way to go to turn this popularity into profits. Back then, Mysterious Island's success was also through waves of publicity. Chen Zhao finished reading the document and the proposal. Just then, Liu Yibo said, the Shanghai government is bidding for Big Mystery Island. Are you interested in participating, President Chen? How much money does it cost to get the development rights of Big Mystery Island? I'm not sure yet, Liu Yibo said. At least 5 billion yuan. I could take out 1 billion myself. I've already raised 2 billion yuan, so I'm still short of 2 billion. If I invest, does that mean I'll have equal shares based on how much I invest? Yes, but if you really get the development rights, you'll also have to invest the same amount in the subsequent development. The estimated total investment is more than 20 billion yuan. Liu Yibo was reminding Chen Zhao not to have money for the bidding. It would be awkward if he did not have the money to develop the island. In other words, if I want to get the remaining shares, I'll need at least 10 billion yuan, right? Mr. Chen, you want the remaining 40%. Chapter 32-43. At first, Liu Yibo had thought that Chen Zhao was just a regular tycoon. After all, Wang He had introduced him to Chen Zhao. Chun Zhao was probably on the same level as Wang He. He also knew almost all the top tycoons in the country. Chun Zhao wasn't one of them. However, he didn't expect Chun Zhao to ask for the remaining 40%. According to this 40%, it would cost at least $2 billion in the early bidding. Moreover, this was just the estimated investment. The money was for the government. If he won the development rights, he would have to invest at least $8 billion in the later stages. This meant that Chun Zhao would have to take out $10 billion in total. This wasn't a small amount. Even Liu Yibo himself had to scrape together the money. He could barely make up $1 billion. The man before him could take out $2 billion in one go without saying a word. Could he be a money launderer? He didn't dare to take this kind of money, especially when he was investing dirty money into such a large project. A large amount of money could directly cause the project to fail. Mr. Chun, what business do you do? Liu Yibo asked in a roundabout way. I've paid $6 billion in taxes this year, Chun Zhao said. Liu Yibo sucked in a cold breath. What did Chun Zhao do to pay so much taxes? Being able to pay so much meant that Chun Zhao's business was legal. If it was settled in dollars, it should be in Europe or America. Otherwise, Chun Zhao would have heard of it. After all, there were only a few top tycoons in the country. The number of top tycoons every year could be counted on one hand. Liu Yibo looked at Wang He. Wang He nodded. Liu Yibo was much more relieved. His gaze toward Chun Zhao became much more passionate. Mr. Chun, in principle, I agree with your investment, but I have to say that even though you have 40% of the shares, you only have one vote in the shareholders' meeting. I know. Chun Zhao had played with these things before and knew the rules. This rule was mainly made by the founder to prevent his power from being taken over by the major shareholders. The board of directors was formed by all shareholders or agents with more than 5% of the shares. Regardless of whether they had 5%, 10%, or 40% of the shares, they would only have one vote. This was beneficial for the founder so that he wouldn't be kicked out by the major shareholders. Mystical Island used this system too. However, Chun Zhao had 3 votes in the Mystical Island's decisions. Although we have reached an investment agreement, I need to see a more detailed plan. Of course, I understand. I'll give you the project plan tomorrow. Chun Zhao had high hopes for this project. However, what he had seen so far was only a preliminary plan. Before this, Chun Zhao did not even know what kind of place Big Mystery Island was. In order to make a decision, he still needed to hand it over to a professional to evaluate the market. What followed was another round of passionate conversation. In the past, the Liu Yibo that Chun Zhao saw in entertainment media was a playboy. However, Chun Zhao felt that Liu Yibo's EQ was very high. This was understandable. Without high EQ, it was impossible to have today's assets. Dumbo really couldn't survive in the business world. What he said was very comforting, not the kind of flattery. It was more like a friend teasing or finding something interesting to say in a humorous tone. President Chun has a child, right? 2. Chun Zhao nodded. Both daughters. Daughters are great, Liu Yibo said, troubled. I have 3 sons. In 20 years, they'll probably have a big family feud. What a headache. President Liu is married? Not really. He had it with his ex-girlfriend. She's the female lead of the super popular mystery, Wang He added. She's Yilin. Chun Zhao had not watched the TV series, but Yilin knew about it. She had been in the industry for more than 10 years and was one of the top actresses in the country. Her main business was TV series. Wang He and Liu Yibo were both people from the entertainment industry. There was no need to talk about Wang He. Almost all of Liu Yibo's girlfriends were female stars, so the two knew the secrets of the entertainment industry like the back of their hands. The 3 mostly talked about the entertainment industry. President Chun, are you free tomorrow? Let's go to Big Mystery Island together. Sure. Chun Zhao had nothing to do anyway. Plus, he had to check out the situation personally before investing. This wasn't a small investment. He couldn't be careless. It was one thing to have high hopes for the project, but he had to be more careful when actually investing. The meal lasted for 3 hours, which also reflected the domestic wine culture, or rather, the wine table culture. Many things were decided over the wine table. However, the 3 didn't drink much. Liu Yibo wanted to invite Chun Zhao and Wang He to play. Chun Zhao still rejected. Liu Yibo vaguely explained the content. Chun Zhao was even less interested. President Liu, I just took a plane today and didn't have time to rest. Maybe another day. Okay, I'm familiar with the Shanghai area. President Chun, contact me whenever you're free. President Chun, I'll go with you. Wang Yi clearly had something to say to Chun Zhao. After saying goodbye to Liu Yibo, Chun Zhao got into Wang Yi's car. Wang Yi spoke first. President Liu is a decent person. He's also capable in business. His family is in politics, so he has both background and ability. President Chun, if you're interested in investing in China, you can ask him. But recently, the local banks have tightened their lending. Everyone is short of money and looking for external capital. Wang Yi said this to prevent Chun Zhao from misunderstanding. Chun Zhao nodded. But there are many good projects. Chun Zhao's investment goal was clear. It was something he could understand. If it was something that only had a concept and no actual product, Chun Zhao definitely wouldn't invest in it. When the concept was converted into profit, it was indeed a huge profit. But in reality, the profit was less than 1 in 10,000. Chun Zhao never bought lottery tickets because he didn't believe in speculation. Speculation and investment were two different concepts. I invested some money in that big Mystery Island project too. Oh, how much? Not much, just 200 million. Chun Zhao couldn't help but look at Wang Yi. He didn't know that Wang Yi could save up 200 million in just 2 years. President Chun, do you have extra money? I want to borrow some. How much? How much is convenient for you? You can borrow as much as you want, but it can't be more than 20 times your annual income. Chun Zhao wasn't interested in waiting 20 or 30 years to collect money. No need, not that much. About 100 million is enough. You don't have enough money to invest. Yes, but it's not the big Mystery Island project. It's a movie I invested in. It's a project of China Film. Chapter 3244. Just then, Wang Yi's phone rang. Wang Yi picked it up and said a few words. After hanging up, he looked at Chun Zhao helplessly. President Chun, I need to go to the studio. Is it convenient for you to go together? I haven't been to your studio yet. Of course, it's my honor. Wang Yi and Chun Ke's studio was also a rented floor of an office building. It was no smaller than Chun Zhao's animation company. Of course, half of the studio was used as a recording room and practice room, including some restrooms and washrooms. The real office space was only 1/3. It was already past 10 p.m., but the studio was still brightly lit. Chun Zhao didn't know what they were busy with. They were just busy, and it seemed like they were even busier than the people from the animation company. What exactly are they busy with? Some are in charge of online public opinion and controlling the direction of public opinion. So they're the Internet Water Army? Wang Yi nodded. Others are in charge of communicating with companies, platforms, and units. Isn't communication just a phone call? President Chun, your thinking is too simple. Even if it's a program invitation, it needs to be very formal. It can't be settled with a phone call. For example, if you invite me to a program, after I agree verbally, I need to reply and sign a contract. Although the text of the contract is similar, the reply needs to be examined word by word. Just then, Zhou Lin jogged out. Brother Wang. Zhou Lin looked at Chun Zhao. President Chun, hello. Hello. Chun Zhao nodded. Ms. Zhou is also a big star. How come you're still here so late? I don't dare to call myself a big star in front of President Chun. Zhou Lin could put on airs before the employees in the company, but she didn't dare to. If Chun Zhao wanted to, he could make her disappear from the entertainment industry in minutes. Actually, I'm here with someone, Zhou Lin said. Just then, a woman wearing sunglasses walked out. Chun Zhao and the woman were both stunned. Jiaqio, long time no see. Wang Yi immediately smiled and shook hands with Xiao Jiaqio. Long time no see. Xiao Jiaqio glanced at Chun Zhao. This is... Oh, let me introduce you. This is Mr. Chun, my friend and also a shareholder of our studio. Xiao Jiaqio frowned slightly. I thought your studio should be a little more classy. Xiao Jiaqio, what do you mean by that? Wang Yi's expression immediately turned ugly. He'd introduced Chun Zhao to Xiao Jiaqio out of goodwill. Why did he get such an impolite response? Although Xiao Jiaqio had a lot of people backing her up, Wang He was not afraid of her. "Brother Wang, if you want to join the studio, my condition is that you transfer his shares to me." Xiao Jiaqio pointed at Chun Zhao. Her tone was confident. She was an A-list actress in the country. She might not have made any achievements in the movie industry. However, TV dramas were definitely the queen of viewership, and she knew many people in the TV industry. She knew very well that Wang He's studio was currently lacking people from the small screen circle. Wang He and Chun Ku were both movie stars, but there were also other small-time celebrities in their studio, such as Zhou Lin. No matter how capable Wang He was, it was impossible for him to bring her along in every movie. There were more opportunities on the small screen than on the big screen. If she joined the studio, she could bring a lot of resources to the TV industry. Then, the artist in the studio could follow her and get some small roles. Moreover, if the studio wanted to shoot a TV series, she could also get investors and find scripts. She thought that she had a huge advantage. She believed that Wang He knew how to choose between her and Chun Zhao. However, she clearly did not understand the situation. "Xiao Jiaqio, are you mistaken about something?" Wang He was so angry that he laughed. That's right. Finding Xiao Jiaqio was an important part of their development plan. However, she was not irreplaceable. There were plenty of female celebrities in the TV industry, and there was more than one who had the same status as her. She was one of the 4 most popular actresses in China. Without Xiao Jiaqio, would the studio not be able to develop? However, Chun Zhao was really irreplaceable. Not to mention Chun Zhao's wealth. Not to mention that he was a shareholder of the studio. Chun Zhao could not give up on the Hollywood resources in his hands. Just half a month ago, Chun Zhao had brought Steven to talk to him. Then, he had gotten an important role. Many A-list celebrities in the country kept calling him. They all wanted to find a way to get to know Steven. He had not acted in a movie yet, but his status had increased. Chun Ku was the same. She was already a Chinese A-list celebrity. She was more than 1 level higher than Xiao Jiaqio. Xiao Jiaqio was willing to join their studio. She was also interested in the Hollywood resources in their studio. This was the only resource in the country. Xiao Jiaqio had reached the end of her career in the TV industry. Therefore, she desperately wanted to move to the big screen. If she could participate in a Hollywood movie, it would also help her stabilize her position as a movie star. But when they reached the studio, Chun Zhao said something so strange. Yet, he said such baffling words. Xiao Jiaqio's expression darkened. "Wang He, you have to think this through. Without me, your studio will not be able to make a single step in the TV industry." Xiao Jiaqio's expression immediately turned ugly. "Wang He, you better think this through. Without me, your studio will find it hard to advance in the television industry." "Miss Xiao, do we know each other?" Xiao Jiaqio's expression darkened. Chun Zhao touched his nose. "Miss Xiao, do we know each other?" No." "You're targeting me just because you don't know me? Do you think I'm easy to bully?" "Okay, since your studio is not sincere, I won't stay here anymore." Xiao Jiaqio turned to leave. Wang He gave Zhou Lin a look. Zhou Lin quickly said, "Sister Jiaqio, I'll walk you out." Zhou Lin was also a female celebrity, but before Xiao Jiaqio, she still felt like a servant. "Sister Jiaqio, slow down." Zhou Lin followed Xiao Jiaqio into the elevator. "Sister Jiaqio, do you know Mr. Chun?" "No," Xiao Jiaqio said coldly. "What is your brother Wang thinking? Am I worse than that minor shareholder?" "Sister Jiaqio, you really don't know Mr. Chun?" To Zhou Lin, Xiao Jiaqio was confused. "Minor shareholder? You called Chun Zhao a minor shareholder?" Well, compared to Chun Ku and Wang He's shares, Chun Zhao's shares were indeed nothing. But the meaning was different. If it were her, she would make the same choice. She would rather offend Xiao Jiaqio than lose a minor shareholder like Chun Zhao. Chapter 32:45. Jiaqio, did Mr. Chen offend you? No, I just don't like him. Jiaqio. Zhou Lin hesitated. Xiao Jiaqio glanced at Zhou Lin. Just say it. Brother Wang and Sister Chun established this studio because of Mr. Chun. Him? Chen knows him too. He's Sister Chen's cousin. Also, he's the one who got the Hollywood resources, so Brother Wang and Sister Chun can't be on your side. He has Hollywood resources. Xiao Jiaqio's eyes widened. Only then did she understand why Wang He had rejected her request in front of everyone. Furthermore, he had said it so vehemently. If it were her, she would probably give the same answer. Xiao Jiaqio's expression was ugly. She felt that she had humiliated herself this time. What does he do? I don't know, but I think he's very close to Mr. Steven. Plus, he got Brother Wang and Sister Chin's Hollywood roles with one sentence. Xiao Jiaqio's expression grew even uglier. She had verbally agreed to Wang He's invitation. It was because of the Hollywood resources of their studio. In the end, she had offended the backing of the studio. Jiaqio, no matter what grudge you have with Mr. Chun, you should let it go. Zhou Lin's tone was sincere. After all, they were all in the entertainment industry. Xiao Jiaqio had asked Wang He to make a choice right in front of the shareholders. Even if he was an ordinary person, Wang He wouldn't agree to Xiao Jiaqio's request. The more Xiao Jiaqio thought about it, the angrier she got. Wang He didn't tell her about such an important matter. He had lost all face on the spot. Zhou Lin walked Xiao Jiaqio to her car. Sitting in the car, Xiao Jiaqio suddenly heard another voice in her head. Woman, why must you find trouble with him? He doesn't seem to recognize you. Didn't you say he's dead? Why is he still alive? How would I know? Maybe the Taoist from Dragon Tiger Mountain solved the problem first. If he recognizes me and knows that I'm a star, I'm doomed. He'll make unreasonable demands. You'll only attract his attention. He's a rich man, and he's also in the entertainment industry. This means that if he exposes my affairs, I'll be in a lot of trouble. Unless he can go bankrupt, his words will lose the way to spread. Xiao Jiaqio said, the resources of this society were all in the hands of the rich. If a rich person wanted to spread a piece of news, he only needed to spend some money to buy a page, and the whole world would know about it the next day. As for an ordinary person or a poor person, their voice could only travel 100 meters at most. Xiao Jiaqio did not know what to do with Chun Zhao either. She had to protect her reputation. Plus, Chun Zhao had entertainment resources. Xiao Jiaqio became even more nervous. The only good news was that Chun Zhao didn't recognize her. However, she couldn't do anything to Chun Zhao. Although she was a celebrity, she was still a celebrity, without any real power. Plus, Chun Zhao wasn't a clay statue that she could do whatever she wanted. Or you can ask him out alone and let me eat him. Xiao Jiaqio's eyes flickered. This could be considered the last option. But now, her relationship with Orochi was more complicated. She had been restraining the serpent. She didn't care how many innocent people the snake ate, but she was worried that it would implicate her. So, until the last moment, she didn't want to use any other methods. President Chun, a friend, came to Shanghai. He asked if you want to meet him. Friend? I know him. Yes, you do. Then let's meet him, Chun Zhao said, nodding. Zhou Lin had been following beside him, but Wang He said, Zhou Lin, go home first. President Chun and I are going to meet a friend. Can I go with you? Zhou Lin was very obedient. She wanted to interact with Chun Zhao more. Maybe she could get some benefits from him. Not convenient. Wang He rejected her request directly. Fine, I'll wait for you at home. Wang He drove Chun Zhao to a villa community. Then they took a few turns in the community. Knock, knock. The door opened. Chun Zhao, indeed, knew the person who opened the door. It was Mo Han. A year ago, he had almost made Chun Zhao lose control, and Chun Zhao had almost killed him. Mr. Chun. Mo Han's expression was a bit stiff. In fact, he already knew that Chun Zhao would come. But when facing Chun Zhao, he still felt a bit awkward. After all, he knew how terrifying Chun Zhao was. Tearing a demon king with his bare hands was something that could be done in minutes. Fortunately, they reconciled in the end. He was now running a security company, and Chun Zhao also had shares. More accurately, he was working for Chun Zhao now. His first job was Wang He, whom Chun Zhao had introduced. After that, Mo Han and Wang He got to know each other better. In a year, the security company had developed quite well. It was already on the right track. Most of the security personnel were still in charge of ordinary jobs. They were bodyguards for rich people and solved some small problems. Of course, he also took on some special jobs. Long time no see. Aren't you going to invite us in? "Ah, please come in." Chun Zhao entered Mo Han's place and saw that there was another woman in the house. He didn't know if she was wearing makeup or not. She looked average, except that she was a bit tall. "My girlfriend, Zhao Li. She's also in the industry," Mo Han introduced. Zhao Li nodded at Chun Zhao. She probably didn't know Chun Zhao. Mo Han probably didn't mention the past to her. She was quite familiar with Wang He. Wang He probably came here often. "Let's sit down and talk." "Li, get us some wine," Mo Han said. Zhao Li brought some wine over and sat beside Mo Han. "How's business recently?" "Mr. Chun, the security company's business is doing well, but there aren't many special jobs. Last quarter's profit was about 1 million yuan. All right, let's not talk about business." Chun Zhao waved his hand. Mo Han really didn't know what to talk about other than business when facing Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao was giving him too much pressure. Zhao Li seemed to feel Mo Han's restraint when facing Chun Zhao. "Mo Han, are you free tomorrow? President Chun and I are going to Big Mystery Island tomorrow. How about you come with us?" "Sure." Mo Han didn't reject. Chun Zhao stood up and walked to the counter in the living room. "Why is your decoration so weird? Why are the things here so creepy?" Chun Zhao started fiddling with the bottles and jars, looking at them and touching them. These are Li's collection." Zhao Li bit her lower lip. She didn't like strangers touching her collection. "Oh, I've seen this before." Chun Zhao picked up a deformed finger soaked in liquid. "The finger of 100 refined devil corpse. There's no second 100 refined devil corpse in this world. I heard that the refining method has been lost. Where did you see it?" Zhao Li clearly didn't believe Chun Zhao. Chapter 3246. Chun Zhao took out a blood-red hand. Wang Yi knew that Chun Zhao was also a cultivator. He had heard Mo Han mention this before. The fingers on the blood-red palm were very similar to the fingers of Zhao Li's refined devil corpse. However, there was an obvious difference. Chun Zhao's finger was red, while Zhao Li's was black. This is the 1,000-year corpse devil, right? Where did this come from?" Zhao Li was obviously a knowledgeable person. She recognized it at a glance. Not to mention that this 1,000-year corpse demon was rarely seen in the world. Even if it were to appear, it would be unparalleled. "Mr. Chun, do you carry this with you? You even said that Mo Han's house is so creepy and creepy. I think you're the one who's even more creepy." Wang Yi could not help but retort. "Do you sell this? How much is it?" Zhao Li stared at the blood-colored demonic palm in Chun Zhao's hand, her eyes shining. "I didn't bring any gifts this time," Chun Zhao said, smiling. "It's not rude to use this as a gift, right?" Mo Han guessed that this thing was probably another of Chun Zhao's spoils of war. With his understanding of Chun Zhao, this was very likely. Chun Zhao's status meant that the circle he came into contact with was different from ordinary circles like theirs. The 1,000-year-old corpse demon was rare in the eyes of ordinary cultivators, but not necessarily in Chun Zhao's eyes. In fact, powerhouses were always in the minority, and powerful monsters were also in the minority. Zhao Li's collection was quite rich. It was just that its grade was a little low. "What kind of teeth are these?" "Double-legged dragons from the west." "What about this?" "The soul crystal of the white knight, vile soul." "What about this?" "Mr. Chun, are you interested in these things? I can introduce you to an organization that specializes in hunting them. When there's an operation, we'll bring you along." "Forget it." Chun Zhao shook his head. He was just curious, but that didn't mean he was interested. Chun Zhao had a lot of his own collections, but most of them were extremely valuable. Moreover, Chun Zhao would never display these things at home. Anyway, Chun Zhao felt that it would be really hard to leave something like this in the house. Especially when Chun Zhao had a kid at home. Larissa would put anything in her mouth, even if it was something that looked terrifying. In her eyes, it was also a delicacy. "You really don't want to?" "Actually, if everyone moves together, it's not that dangerous." Zhao Li thought that he was worried about safety. "My life is very valuable. I don't like to take risks." "All right." Zhao Li was a little disappointed. Mo Han rolled his eyes. He didn't tell Zhao Li how powerful Chun Zhao was. If they really teamed up to fight some monsters. Even if Zhao Li and everyone else in the team died, Chun Zhao wouldn't die. After Chun Zhao and Wang He left, Zhao Li said in a disdainful tone. That Qin guy is too timid. Where do you think the 1,000-year-old corpse devil's palm came from? Where did it come from? Of course he killed the 1,000-year-old corpse devil himself. What else could it be? How is that possible? A 1,000-year-old corpse demon is a legendary demonic creature. Even for cultivators like us, we would need to form a team of over 100 cultivators to deal with it. Not even Celestial Master Zhang from Dragon Tiger Mountain has complete confidence in dealing with it. Imo Han said. He and Celestial Master Zhang are of the same generation. How is this possible? Could it be that he looks young, but is actually in his 70s or 80s? No, it's just because his cultivation is very high, Imo Han said indifferently. So be careful in front of him in the future. He doesn't have a good temper. Although Imo Han said so, Zhao Li still didn't believe it. Chun Zhao didn't look like a master no matter how she looked at him. Moreover, he was at the top level like Imo Han said. Out of all the top cultivators she knew, which one of them didn't have the demeanor of a sage? The next day, Imo Han and Zhao Li arrived at the hotel Chun Zhao was staying at. Mr. Chun, Zhao Li and I are already at the hotel. Oh, you're here so early. Come to my room first. I'm eating breakfast. When the two arrived at Chun Zhao's room, they saw that the table was filled with food. Mr. Chun, you're eating so much so early? It's a habit of mine. Sit down and eat, Chun Zhao said. Then we won't stand on ceremony. Imo Han and Zhao Li looked at the mountain of food disappearing at an alarming speed. The two were speechless. Chun Zhao had probably eaten enough food for them for a month. But this was only Chun Zhao's breakfast. After half an hour, Chun Zhao finally cleared all the food. Mr. Chun, when are we leaving? You guys rest for a while. Someone will inform me when it's time. Soon, Wang He also arrived at the hotel. At 10 in the morning, Lu Yiba called. He even sent a car to pick Chun Zhao up. The car sent Chun Zhao and the others to the dock. Then, they boarded a yacht. Mr. Chun, how was your rest last night? Lu Yiba walked up and greeted Chun Zhao warmly. Not bad. Chun Zhao looked at the dock that was slowly moving away. Are we taking this yacht to Big Mystery Island? Yes, there's no direct transportation right now. We can only go there by ourselves, Lu Yiba said. How about my yacht? Very good. Then you can have this yacht, Mr. Chun. Well, it's okay. I have a yacht. Chun Zhao's family had 2 yachts. The smaller yacht was 10 times the size of this yacht, and the larger yacht was more than 10 times the size of this yacht. Mr. Chun, you don't have to be so polite. If you're afraid of trouble, I can help you send the yacht overseas. Boss Lu, it's really okay. I really have a yacht. Boss Lu, Mr. Chun is telling the truth. His yacht is 10 times bigger than this one. Wang had boarded Chun Zhao's small yacht. Okay. Lu Yiba was a bit awkward. Thank you, Boss Lu. The yacht wasn't a super yacht, but it was quite big. However, the scale was still quite large, with a length of nearly 20 meters. The interior was also very grand. In terms of price, it was estimated to cost 20 to 30 million yuan. Next time I go to America, I really need to visit Mr. Chun and see his yacht. In terms of enjoyment, the rich people in China had the best 20 to 30 years of success. Therefore, the rich people in China usually played with the leftovers of the rich foreigners. Nowadays, the rich foreigners didn't like yachts and private jets the most. Instead, they liked raising wild animals. Their favorite was racing horses, which could easily cost millions. In short, the rich foreigners only played with one thing: things that could be invested and appreciated. Most rich people cashed in their toys while playing. A nouveau riche like Chun Zhao couldn't keep up with this. Chapter 32:47. After exiting the sea, the yacht turned right toward Zhejiang. It would only take about an hour. A dense fog appeared before them. Chun Zhao felt a strong magnetic field. The ship's navigation confirmed this. In the strong magnetic field, the navigation was almost useless. However, when the yacht entered the fog, Chun Zhao felt the extremely dense spiritual qi. It was so dense that it was suffocating. Chun Zhao felt like he was immersed in an ocean of spiritual qi. However, normal spiritualists wouldn't be able to stay for long in such dense spiritual qi. Otherwise, they would really explode from the spiritual chi here. Mr. Chun, do you know the origin of Big Mystery Island? I looked it up online yesterday, but I didn't really understand. I think it was only discovered this year. Chen Zhao felt that this information was a bit strange. This place was only about 100 kilometers away from Shanghai. It was considered the inland sea. How could there be an island that had just been discovered in such a close area? It was indeed discovered this year, Liu Yibo said. It's rumored that Big Mystery Island is one of the 3 legendary immortal islands. Chen Zhao had heard of this legend. The 3 immortal islands recorded in the classic of mountains and seas were Penglai, Fangzhong, and Yingzhou. Is there a deeper meaning to the name Big Mystery? No. It's just that the first person to discover it was a fisherman called Li Dao. He owed a bunch of money, so he drove his boat out to fish alone. No matter how small the boat is, it can't be moved without 7 or 8 people. In the end, he couldn't control it properly and entered the fog by mistake. When he realized something was wrong, he was already on an unfamiliar island. After he came back, he reported it to the government and they gave him some money. Because he was the first to discover it, it was named Big Mystery Island. Okay, Chen Zhao had thought that there was something special about the name Big Mystery Island. The fog is harmless to the human body. Experts have already tested the air here. Apparently, there's some substance that's beneficial to the human body. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's beneficial. Also, after entering the fog, you can't use navigation. The satellite can't find the island either. You can only enter and exit the island based on experience. Chen Zhao glanced at the fog. The visibility was very low. If that's the case, traffic won't be very convenient. Also, with such low visibility, if a ship comes from the opposite direction, I'm afraid it'll collide when it's discovered. This can be considered a flaw of the Great Mysteries Island. Currently, I'm also considering how to solve this problem after obtaining the rights to develop the island. Without navigation, it would be difficult for planes to navigate. After all, planes needed to be located and even ships needed to be located. Therefore, if the development was really carried out, the traffic would become a huge limitation. Currently, the solution we're considering is to build an undersea tunnel between Big Mysterious Island and MO. Do you like Mysterious Island in Los Angeles? Yes, I plan to negotiate with the government to build it together and have joint ownership. It seemed that Liu Yibo was determined to win this government bidding. They hadn't even gotten the development rights, but they were already planning for the later stages of development. But that was what Chen Zhao saw in him. People with ability are always favored. How's the process of the bidding? Chen Zhao asked. Evaluation, positioning, profitability. These are the most basic operations. Most companies know about these things, but I believe that the government wants more than that, especially since this place is under the jurisdiction of the MOD government. This place will become a business card of MOD, especially the Southeast Asian region, which is deeply influenced by Chinese culture. As long as we plan it well, the Southeast Asian market will have more expectations for this place than Mysterious Island. Chen Zhao nodded. Then, what advantage do you think the other companies don't have? The so-called advantage is formed bit by bit. The other companies bidding against us are all big companies. None of them are weak, and their resources won't be too bad. We have more funds than others, more investment, better planning, better vision, and more profits for the government. The planning and design will also be more in line with the government's wishes. This will be our biggest advantage. Chen Zhao was even more satisfied. Liu Yibo wasn't blindly confident. What he said was also meaningful. He definitely wasn't just running his mouth. This was also what Chen Zhao saw in him the most. In fact, if he didn't win the development right this time, Chen Zhao also hoped to cooperate with Liu Yibo in other projects. The moment the yacht passed through the mist, Chen Zhao was mesmerized by the scene before him. All nature, all beauty, and all the scenery and poetry and paintings appeared before him. It was a huge island with a few mountains on it. The largest mountain pierced through the clouds like a huge sword piercing through the sky. Between the mountains, a few colorful clouds circled like ribbons. Before they even got close to the island, they felt waves of immortal air. It was worth it. This island was worth investing in. Chun Zhao made his decision immediately. It felt completely different from Mysterious Island. Mysterious Island was an island that had been completely developed, and this island was a pure land that had fallen from heaven to the human world. Chun Zhao looked at Lu Yibo. Will development damage the island's environment? No, this is also what I value the most. All the construction needs to be centered around nature and the sky. This is also Big Mystery Island's biggest selling point. I won't neglect the essentials. Chun Zhao nodded and continued admiring the beautiful scenery of Big Mystery Island. There are some strange creatures on the island, Lu Yibo said. Like Mysterious Island? Yes, but they won't cooperate or interact with humans like the magical creatures on Mysterious Island. Their habits and actions are more like wild beasts. Are there many? Not many, but they won't actively attack humans either. Because the dock hadn't been built yet, they could only use rubber rafts to reach Big Mystery Island when they were 1,000 meters away. Just then, Chun Zhao discovered some larger sea beasts in the sea. There seems to be something in the water. Chun Zhao pointed at a back that was poking out of the water. Oh, that's S-13, one of the new species on the government-numbered island. The government even named it a scale dragon. It's a carnivorous sea beast, but won't attack humans. Apparently, when the government sent people to the island, someone accidentally fell into the sea, and that thing even pushed them to the shore. Chun Zhao discovered that the sea beast looked like a narwhal, but it was longer and had scales. It shouldn't be a dolphin. It was very fast, and there were spiritual chi waves around it. If it was time to develop this stone tablet, it would definitely be protected first. But now, he could touch it directly. Chun Zhao strolled forward and reached out to touch the tablet. A ripple appeared on the stone tablet. It was not a ripple visible to the naked eye. Instead, it was an incomprehensible fluctuation. It was not the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, nor was it magical power. The ripple wasn't stopping him. Instead, they were spreading some information. This method of transmission was similar to the feeling he got from the key, but it was also different. The key belonged to Chun Zhao, so it could only be spread to Chun Zhao. However, the stone tablet's ripples were similar to a loudspeaker. Anyone with the ability to sense it would be able to sense it. However, the information that was being spread was not about any cultivation method or hidden treasures. It was more like some powerful ancient cultivator had left behind his own comprehension. Chun Zhao didn't know if this powerful cultivator was stronger than him, but he was definitely very, very strong. The path he took was completely different from Chun Zhao's, or rather, different from all the cultivators in the current world. Chun Zhao knew that Chinese cultivators were divided into ancient and modern ones. The ancient cultivators cultivated the ancient gods, while the current cultivators were immortals. However, the ancient gods could only vaguely obtain some shallow answers from the few words that were left behind. This should be the comprehension left behind by the ancient gods. For Chun Zhao, this kind of comprehension could help him fill in some gaps. However, it wouldn't help Chun Zhao's realm and strength. The others didn't sense the stone tablet's ripples at all. Only Emohan could sense it. Emohan looked at the stone tablet in shock, and then at Chun Zhao. He didn't know what had happened either. However, a mysterious feeling suddenly surged in his heart. Chun Zhao retracted his hand. This stone tablet was very magical, but touching it once was enough. He didn't need to take it away. Chun Zhao looked at the green mountains and clear water. He looked at the layers of mountains. There was something indescribable here. It was that everything was reasonable. In Taoist terms, it was Dharma. Everything here was within Dharma and Logos. Perhaps this was the ancient cultivator's Tao that he had left behind. He had used another method to pass down his Tao. Perhaps one day, someone would be able to inherit this Tao. But it wouldn't be today, and it wouldn't be Chun Zhao. Chun Zhao already had his own path. It was obscure and hard to understand, and the future was uncertain. This kind of comprehension was more like a mutual verification. It was more like a communication that was separated by thousands of years. Just then, a rainbow suddenly appeared in the sky above Big Mystery Island. However, it was different from the normal arcs of rainbows. The rainbow in the sky was in the form of a circle of light. It was like a huge rainbow covering the sky above Big Mystery Island. The scene was beautiful and dreamy. We're pretty lucky. We actually encountered a special aurora. Is that an aurora? Anyway, that's what the scientists said. They said that Big Mystery Island's magnetic field is special, which causes the aurora to be distorted. Chen Zhao glanced at Lu Yibo. How confident are you in getting the development rights? A conservative estimate is 60%. Lu Yibo could say that he was 60% confident, which was already a very high probability. After all, the bidders for the development rights were all top Chinese tycoons and top corporations. No one had absolute confidence. The difference between them wasn't big. On one hand, it depended on the capital invested. On the other hand, it depended on the government's intentions, whose development plan was more in line with the government's wishes. Everyone knew that the original ecology should be maintained. However, maintaining the original ecology was a big problem. I can't give any suggestions in terms of planning, but if it's capital investment, it's fine to exceed the budget, Chen Zhao said. If other investors feel that it's not worth it and withdraw, I'm willing to take over. I can even take over the entire project. Lu Yibo looked at Chen Zhao in surprise. He was surprised by Chen Zhao's confidence in the project. He was also surprised by Chen Zhao's wealth. After all, the current investors of the project were all top tycoons. Their current capital investment was in the hundreds of millions. Whether they invested or withdrew, they had to think carefully. However, Chen Zhao could make a decision so easily. This made Lu Yibo even more curious about Chen Zhao's wealth. Chapter 3249. Mr. Chen, are you that confident in this project? I only follow my feelings, Chen Zhao said honestly. Plus, I'm more confident in you. Hearing this, Lu Yibo was very happy. The greatest joy in life was to be recognized. Chen Zhao gave Lu Yibo a sense of recognition. It wasn't fake recognition. Lu Yibo could feel Chen Zhao's sincerity. They walked on Big Quinn Island for an hour. Then they returned. There was nothing on Big Quinn Island. There wasn't even a road, so there was nowhere to go. The sea fog around Big Quinn Island didn't pose any threat to ships. Apart from visibility, there was basically no trouble. Moreover, the range of the sea fog was not very wide, only a few kilometers. As long as they sailed in a straight line, they could pass through the fog in 10 minutes. For now, they had to turn on the lights to the maximum when sailing in the fog. This was to prevent ships from noticing too late. This was also the default rule of the international law of the sea when sailing in the fog at sea. It was already evening when they returned to Shanghai. Lu Yibo treated Chen Zhao and the others to dinner. As soon as Chen Zhao returned to the hotel, he received Zhang Ting's call. Boss, something happened to the company. Something happened? Is it a lack of funds? Or an employee left? Or was someone sued? This was one of the few things Chen Zhao could think of that could happen to a company. No, it's a problem with the office building. The person in charge of the company that we rented the office building suddenly informed us today that they want us to move out of the office building within 3 days. Otherwise, they will cut off the power to our company. Why? Did we owe them the rent? No. How is that possible? What a joke. With a boss like you, it's an insult to them to owe you the rent. Then why? Did you offend them? No. We had a good cooperation before. Then why did they terminate the contract? Or maybe they want to raise the price. They didn't say why. The person in charge didn't even talk to me. He just sent the notice. Then find a new office first. Also, since they broke the contract first, get a lawyer to sue them. We can't just let this go. Make it bigger, the better. Don't care who they are. Anyway, Chen Zhao wasn't in the country, so he didn't care about the guy's background. Also, don't be in a hurry to move the things out. Let them pull the switch, then say that the important documents were damaged due to the power outage. Give me a high price and make them feel the pain. Zhang Ting knew what Chen Zhao meant. He didn't care about money. Chen Zhao was too rich. But this kind of rich people had a special characteristic. He had a bad temper, especially when others didn't give him face. He would make the other party bleed at all costs. After saying a few words, Chen Zhao hung up the phone. To Chen Zhao, this was something that couldn't be any more insignificant. Chen Zhao didn't take it to heart. Even if the company moved, it would only delay the project for a few days at most. Chen Zhao could still afford this bit of money. Zhang Ting knew Chen Zhao's temper. Therefore, he directly spent money to find the media. Whether it was the print media or the online media, they all came up with a wave of publicity. At the same time, it became the top trending topic on Weibo. The company had previously published 2 full-length animated works. Because of the abundance of funds, the quality of the animation was rather high. Therefore, it was considered somewhat famous in China. Now, the animation company had a conflict with the company that owned the office building. Moreover, they were in the right. The media naturally saw the explosive point in this. It spread in one night. The next day, it was already the top trending topic. While eating breakfast, Chen Zhao scrolled through the morning news on his tablet. Even if it was only for one night. But it was already very popular. Chen Zhao called Zhang Ting. Zhang Ting, how much did you spend to publish the news? Boss, we spent around 500,000 last night. Only 500,000? You only need to find the media? It doesn't matter how much it costs. We don't need to rely on this to save money. Spending 500,000 yuan in one night? To Zhang Ting, this was already very shocking. She had also found the first and second tier domestic media. Just one pop-up on PenguinNet cost 300,000. But Chen Zhao actually said that the money was too little. But every time Zhang Ting thought of Chen Zhao's shocking wealth, she understood. Okay, Zhang Ting decided to invest more. 500,000 was too little? Then she would find 5 million media outlets. Zhang Ting first found the number of the national mouthpiece. Then she called and said that she wanted to buy a page. The other party had originally rejected. But after hearing Zhang Ting's price, they immediately changed their mind. No choice. Zhang Ting's price was indeed something they couldn't refuse. When Liu Yu saw the news published in the national newspaper, he went crazy. He went crazy and almost pulled out his hair. That animation company must be crazy. They had to report this to the national newspaper. How much would that cost? Also, they had spent money. Therefore, the content in the newspaper was naturally on the animation company's side. It was obvious that they wanted to die with him. Liu Yu immediately picked up the phone. He dialed Zhang Ting's number. Miss Zhang, you don't have to do this, right? You can't change the result, even if you spend so much money. Manager Liu, I'm not doing this to change the result. My boss ordered me to ruin your and your company's reputation, no matter how much it costs. Miss Zhang, actually, this matter can still be discussed. No need. You didn't plan to discuss with me in the first place, so I naturally won't discuss with you now, Zhang Ting said calmly. Anyway, Chen Zhao's words were enough. Zhang Ting wasn't new at all. She didn't have enough publicity budget. Chen Zhao would definitely do his best to help her publicize and fight the lawsuit. Miss Zhang, you have to think it through. We're North Group. You won't be able to do anything if you continue like this. Sorry, this is my boss's idea. Then give me your boss's number. No comment. Liu Yu was both anxious and angry. North Group was hundreds of times bigger than a mere animation company, but he was only a regional manager. However, he was only a regional manager after all. It was impossible for him to publicize this matter without considering the cost like Zhang Ting. But Zhang Ting could. Zhang Ting added, remember to pay attention to tonight's news broadcast. Liu Yu's scalp was about to explode. If this really went to the news broadcast, he would be dead for sure. None of the higher-ups in the company would allow him to exist. Ms. Zhang, can we put an end to this matter? I can provide a certain amount of compensation. Please let this matter end here. Chapter 3250. Liu Yu was indeed the regional manager of a big company. The response of the public relations department and the response to changes could be said to be extremely fast. He was threatening just a moment ago, but he gave in the next. He was backing down in all aspects. I'm sorry, this matter is no longer up to you, nor is it up to me to decide. After Zhang Ting explained the situation to Chen Zhao, it was no longer up to her to decide the direction of this matter. Chen Zhao had said that he would make a big deal out of it. Was she going to plead for the enemy? Miss Zhang, are you really going to die together? Zhang Ting smiled. She didn't have a right to decide whether or not to die together. Lu Yu didn't have the right either. Lu Yu's biggest mistake was that he didn't investigate the background of the animation company. He thought that the animation company was just a small company. He thought that the financial backer was just a nouveau riche. On the surface, Chun Zhao was indeed a nouveau riche. But unfortunately, Chun Zhao became the richest person in the world. As for dying together, now, their company was being blackmailed. Chun Zhao's business wasn't even in the country. How could they die together? Moreover, with Chun Zhao's assets, even if the other party wanted to hit him, they would only end up with bruises. Ms. Zhang, can't we talk properly? Lu Yu's tone softened again. Manager Lu, since you started targeting our company, our boss said that no matter how much money we have to spend, this isn't over. Lu Yu's expression grew uglier. You spent a lot of money on the news broadcast last time, right? It's not worth it. Our boss doesn't have other abilities, but he's rich. Do you know how big our company is? I know, but your company isn't as rich as our boss. Real estate companies nowadays basically all had debt ratios above 100%. Some are even above 200%. Almost every project of a real estate company borrowed money from the bank. Then, the money would be used to pay off the previous project. Some real estate companies used the buyer's purchase price to pay off the debt. This caused the scale of real estate companies to be tens of billions or even hundreds of billions. But there was a huge pile of non-performing assets and debts. This was also why Zhang Ting didn't care about the feud between her boss and the real estate company. In the end, the battle between the bosses was just about throwing money. Whoever had more money would win. No one could beat Chun Zhao in this aspect. Li was upset. He tried to communicate with Zhang Ting, but to no avail. He could only hang up, but the phone immediately rang again. Lu Yu panicked when he saw the number. Boss Lu, is there anything I can help you with? What is it? You're still asking me what's going on? Tell me clearly what's going on. Why is our company's name on the national media, on the news, and even singled out for criticism? Boss Lu, listen to me. Miss Xiao asked me to do this. Miss Xiao? Xiao Jiaqiu? Why would she do that? You just listen to what she says. She seems to have a grudge against the boss of that animation company. Lu Yu said helplessly, so they asked me to target their company. I didn't expect their company to react so fiercely. Nonsense, fuck. Boss Lu directly scolded Lu Yu fluently. Who does Xiao Jiaqiu think she is? You'll agree just because she wants it? She said if I don't agree, she'll call you. President Lu was speechless. In the end, he was the one to blame for this. Who's the other party? I don't know. The other party seems to be a turtle. The money he spent on the national media is enough for him to buy a floor in the CBD, but they took so much money to cheat us. Who asked you to give them something to use against us? President Lu said bitterly, give me their contact information. I'll contact them. Hello, I'm Lu Yibo, the chairman of Tianhong Group. Hello, President Lu. What's the matter? When Zhang Ting received Lu Yibo's call, her tone immediately changed. It was completely different from her attitude when she talked to Lu Yu on the phone. Lu Yu and Lu Yibo were not at the same level, nor should they be. Lu Yu couldn't do anything. She could only say it on the phone. But Lu Yibo had the ability to make a person or a company die socially. I won't say anything unnecessary. Tianhong was the one at fault in the first place. I apologize to you here. Please forgive me. Lu Yibo paused. Then he said, I want to invite Ms. Zhang and the boss of your company out for a meal and apologize to you in person. Lu Yibo's attitude was very low. He didn't have the arrogance of a top tycoon at all. I need to ask my boss. Then I'll wait for your good news. Is this my private number? Call me if you need anything. Goodbye. Boss? The boss of the real estate company apologized and wants to invite you to a meal. He said he wants to apologize to you in person. Making a living with a favor? Since we have a good relationship, let's go. Chun Zhao did not care about their attitude. Apologizing was one thing, but it had become a hot topic now. Now, the company didn't just need to apologize to them. They also needed to publicly apologize and explain. As for their attitude in private, it would decide whether Chun Zhao should continue to spread the popularity of this matter. The next day, Chun Zhao and Zhang Ting followed the location provided by the company. They found the restaurant. There were no other customers. Clearly, the restaurant had been booked. Chen Zhao and Zhang Ting entered the restaurant. Liu Yibo, Liu Yu, and Xiao Jiaqio walked out. When Liu Yibo saw Chen Zhao, he was stunned. Chen, Mr. Chen, why are you here? You're the boss of the animation company? Chen Zhao looked at Liu Yibo speechlessly. Mr. Liu, the floor my company rented is yours? Liu Yibo slapped his forehead. This was really a flood rushing into the temple of the Dragon King. Liu Yu's heart pounded. So, Liu Yibo and Chen Zhao knew each other, and they seemed to have a close relationship. It seemed that he had reached the end of his career as a regional manager. Liu Yibo welcomed Chen Zhao into the restaurant. Mr. Chen, it's our company's fault. I apologize. Don't apologize yet. I want to know the reason. Why are you targeting my animation company? Xiao Jiaqio's expression was also very ugly. Liu Yibo looked at Xiao Jiaqio. When Chen Zhao saw Xiao Jiaqio, he already had some guesses. So, you're saying that Miss Xiao is behind this again? Xiao Jiaqio remained silent. Chen Zhao looked at Xiao Jiaqio. Miss Xiao, I'm curious. Where exactly do we know each other? Why do you have to target me time and time again? Chapter 32:51. Xiao Jiaqio had a smile on her face. Mr. Chen, I mistook you for someone else. Chen Zhao scratched his head. Okay, I hope you won't mistake me again. Chen Zhao didn't pursue the matter, because he knew that there was no point in arguing here. Did he really have to argue with Xiao Jiaqio about whether or not she had recognized the wrong person? Xiao Jiaqio would never admit it. Chen Zhao didn't believe her either. If there really was a grudge between them, Xiao Jiaqio wouldn't let it go so easily. As for Liu Yibo, Chen Zhao didn't plan on getting to the bottom of it. In the end, he was just a scapegoat. On one hand, Chen Zhao was working with him. He didn't want to stop here. Moreover, even if Chen Zhao didn't do anything now, Chen Zhao wouldn't be able to do anything. For the sake of the Tianhong Group's reputation, he had to be extremely busy. One had to know that losing one's reputation was no small matter. On the one hand, the consumers had a sense of distrust towards their group. On the other hand, it was related to their funds. Once there was distrust in the market, the bank would definitely increase the scrutiny on their group's loans, which would lead to a more serious impact. So, Chen Zhao not doing anything now was the best display of their friendship. If Chen Zhao attacked him a few more times, even if he couldn't destroy the Great Sky Corporation, he could still make them suffer for at least half a year. As for the culprits of this storm, manager Liu Yu and Xiao Jiaqio. Liu Yibo couldn't do anything to Xiao Jiaqio. At most, he could force her to apologize to him. But Liu Yu's life and death could be decided with just a word from Liu Yibo. Although it was not enough to kill Liu Yu. But at the very least, he would be able to destroy his family and break up his family. As for how Liu Yibo planned to calm this storm, Chen Zhao had basically thought of the same thing. On the one hand, he would throw Liu Yu out. This meant that it was all Liu Yu's doing. On the other hand, he had to apologize in front of the public. At the same time, he would compensate the animation company. This was not difficult. He just needed to buy a few articles and find a few public intellectuals. Just as Chen Zhao had guessed, in the next 2 days, all the negative news about Tianhong Corporation disappeared. What replaced? It was Tianhong Corporation's apology statement. At the same time, many public figures and media outlets expressed that Tianhong Corporation dared to take responsibility for their actions and had a good attitude. These were all basic operations. The wind direction had completely changed. Of course, this was only if Chen Zhao didn't go against him. If Chen Zhao interfered, he wouldn't even need to do anything. As long as he expressed that he did not accept the apology, he would go through the legal process. All of Liu Yibo's hard work over the past few days would go down the drain. Chen Zhao hadn't paid much attention to this in the past 2 days. Accompanied by Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing, they toured the entire Shanghai. Zhang Ting and Yi Ziqing were speechless too. Chen Zhao was actually most interested in those famous restaurants. Besides the Michelin restaurant, the shops hidden in the alleys were also Chen Zhao's checkout spot. Chen Zhao's stomach was a bottomless abyss. They ate a lot in every restaurant, but they could still rush to the next one tirelessly. Even if they only went shopping with Chen Zhao, they would still be exhausted mentally and physically. Boss, there's a famous shop on Nanjing Road. Do you want to go there today? Are you tired? If you're tired, you can go back and rest. I can go alone. I'm not tired. Regardless of whether they were really not tired or not, their emotional intelligence did not allow them to say that they were tired at this time. Actually, Chen Zhao didn't care if they were accompanying him at all. It was mainly because they felt that Chen Zhao needed their company. Just then, Chen Zhao's phone rang. Hello, who is it? Mr. Chen, it's me, Xiao Jiaqio. Miss Xiao, what's up? Mr. Chen, I think there's some misunderstanding between us. Hasn't our misunderstanding been resolved? Ha! Chen Zhao smiled casually, as if he really didn't care about it at all. Although our misunderstanding has been resolved, I still feel uneasy. I hope to apologize to Mr. Chen more sincerely. Miss Xiao's call is enough to express your sincerity. I don't think it's enough. I hope to treat Mr. Chen to a meal and apologize to him in person. There's no need for that. You want? Unless Mr. Chen still doesn't want to forgive me. Okay, then. When are you free, Mr. Chen? Anytime. How about tonight? Sure, as long as you're happy. Then I'll go book a restaurant first. I'll send the location to Mr. Chen later. Okay. Was Chen Zhao really not familiar with Shanghai? Otherwise, he would have discovered beforehand that the restaurant Xiao Jiaqio had given him was so remote. We got off the car. The drivers all looked at him strangely. They didn't know why Chen Zhao would come to such a remote place. Chen Zhao picked up his phone and called Xiao Jiaqio. Ms. Xiao, I'm already at the location you gave me, but I don't see any restaurant around. Oh, where are you now? Chen Zhao looked around. There's a huge banyan tree in front of me. Walk another 300 meters. Then you'll see me. Chen Zhao followed Xiao Jiaqio's directions. After walking for a minute, he saw Xiao Jiaqio standing in front of him. Ms. Xiao, is there really a restaurant here? Chen Zhao's tone was already somewhat displeased. Mr. Chen, you really don't recognize me? Xiao Jiaqio smiled at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao studied Xiao Jiaqio up and down. Looks like Ms. Xiao didn't call me here to treat me to a meal. Mr. Chen, you really don't recognize me? Xiao Jiaqio asked again. Chen Zhao looked at the radiant Xiao Jiaqio. She was very beautiful. Logically speaking, such a beautiful woman. There was no reason for him to forget her. But he really didn't have any impression of her. Ms. Xiao, are you sure you didn't get the wrong person? Mr. Chen, do you remember the back mountain of Dragon Tiger Mountain 10 days ago? Chen Zhao frowned and looked at the woman carefully again. You're that woman? To be honest, Xiao Jiaqio and that woman were quite different. Plus, Xiao Jiaqio's aura was completely different. So, Chen Zhao couldn't connect Xiao Jiaqio to the woman he'd met at the back mountain of Dragon Tiger Mountain. It seems like you really don't recognize me at all. Chen Zhao shrugged. I don't think I've offended you. Plus, I even did you a favor. Why are you targeting me? Because you know my secret. Oh, you're talking about how you tricked your friend into feeding the snake? Chen Zhao finally understood. Or rather, he should have known this would be the reason. You should know that I didn't call the police then, and I won't do so in the future. Chapter 3252. Mr. Chen, I'm a celebrity. If my things are exposed, I'll lose everything. So, that's why you're not treating me. Mr. Chen, I'm sorry. I'm afraid I can't treat you this time. Right now, Xiao Jiaqio was calm and confident. From the moment Chen Zhao showed up, she didn't need to worry anymore. Since she'd made her decision, Xiao Jiaqio didn't hesitate anymore. I still hope that you can fulfill your promise. After all, I'm really here for the dinner. Huh? Xiao Jiaqio laughed. Do you want to see an old friend? Old friend? Chen Zhao tilted his head and looked at Xiao Jiaqio. A ball of black gas appeared behind Xiao Jiaqio. A huge figure could be vaguely seen in the black gas. The two-legged snake. The underdeveloped snake demon. No wonder. Chen Zhao finally realized why he didn't recognize Xiao Jiaqio. If it was just a difference in appearance, Chen Zhao could still tell from her aura. But Xiao Jiaqio's aura was mixed with the two-legged snake's. This caused her aura to become very strange. Instead, it clouded Chen Zhao's senses. The two-legged snake appeared behind Xiao Jiaqio and stared down at Chen Zhao. Human, we didn't expect us to meet here, did you? The two-legged snake's impression of Chen Zhao was completely different from Xiao Jiaqio's. To Xiao Jiaqio, Chen Zhao was a ticking time bomb. She was worried that Chen Zhao would recognize her and expose what she'd done. She didn't hate Chen Zhao at all, but the two-legged snake was different. He was filled with hatred for Chen Zhao. It was the first time in his life that he'd been humiliated like this. He hated Chen Zhao to the max. The two-legged snake stuck out its tongue and stared at Chen Zhao fiercely. A smile slowly appeared on Chen Zhao's face. Is this your trump card? Xiao Jiaqio furrowed her brows. Chen Zhao didn't look panicked, but the two-legged snake didn't care. It opened its mouth and bit at Chen Zhao. However, he stopped 1 meter before Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao's smile grew brighter. Xiao Jiaqio looked at the two-legged snake. She thought that it wanted to torture Chen Zhao to death, so she didn't kill him. But now, the two-legged snake was panicking, because he found that he could not move at all. His body was being bound by an invisible force. This power spread throughout his entire body. An incomprehensible power. Chen Zhao smiled at the two-legged snake. His finger gently slid across the lower jaw of the two-legged snake. Chen Zhao's fingers tore open the thick scales. Originally, you were the demonic beast suppressed by the group of ox-nosed beasts from Mount Longhu. You were responsible for sealing the eye of the formation, so you didn't die. However, you've already left the seal. Speaking of which, you've caused me quite a bit of trouble. Because you escaped the seal, the ox-nosed beast from Mount Longhu wanted me to be responsible for dealing with the aftermath. But now, I don't have to worry anymore. Chen Zhao's finger left another shocking wound on the two-legged snake. The two-legged snake remained in that position, unable to move. But the pain did not lessen. Master, I was wrong. Please forgive me. How could the two-legged snake not understand? He had provoked the wrong person. This person was not an ordinary person at all. Instead, it was an extremely powerful expert. I won't do it again. Xiao Jiaqio's legs turned to jelly too. She thought that the two-legged snake would be able to defeat Chen Zhao easily. But things were developing in the opposite direction. I don't want to die. Chen Zhao was still smiling. Spare me. Grandmaster, spare me. The two-legged serpent's legs were trembling. Chen Zhao chuckled as he looked at the two-legged snake. He slowly raised his finger. Suddenly, Chen Zhao looked up at the sky. Something golden was falling from the sky at an incredible speed. Bang! A huge golden shockwave rippled out, and Xiao Jiaqio was sent flying. Amidst the golden light, a huge eagle suddenly smashed into the two-legged serpent's body. Its claws gripped the two-legged serpent, and it was about to spread its wings and fly away. Chen Zhao's expression darkened. Fuck, trying to steal food from me? That's too much. Chen Zhao reached out and pulled. The golden eagle didn't have time to spread its wings and fly away. Chen Zhao grabbed her. The golden eagle looked back at Chen Zhao. It screeched loudly. Right now, a golden alms bowl fell from the sky and covered Chen Zhao's head. Chen Zhao raised his fist and punched the golden alms bowl. The alms bowl instantly turned into countless golden light spots. The golden light spots reformed into a person. An old monk shrouded in golden light appeared before Chen Zhao. The old monk wore a plain gray robe and held a golden alms bowl. Ba, you're right, benefactor. Old monk? What do you mean? Benefactor? This golden eagle is a spirit pet reared by this penniless monk. And then, Chen Zhao looked coldly at the old monk. Chen Zhao tightened his grip, and the golden eagle screeched. The old monk's expression changed slightly. Benefactor? This penniless monk's golden eagle has offended you. Monk Ping will apologize on your behalf. Can you let it go? Why did you attack me just now? Chen Zhao asked. I didn't attack you, benefactor. I just wanted to protect my spiritual pet. But your spell just now was aimed at me? Am I blind? Benefactor, have you ever heard that it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive? Chen Zhao's expression darkened. He was about to kill the golden eagle. But the eagle shrunk at a shocking speed. It turned into a beam of golden light and landed in the old monk's golden alms bowl. Chun Zhao didn't care. He raised his fist and punched at the old monk. The old monk didn't care about losing now. The golden alms bowl in his hand changed again. A golden cover appeared. However, the golden barrier couldn't stop Chun Zhao's fist. It was instantly smashed into pieces. The old monk's body shook. He couldn't calm his chest. He couldn't stand steadily. Just then, Chun Zhao's hand grabbed the alms bowl in the old monk's hand. The old monk hurriedly cast a spell to shake Chun Zhao away. But Chun Zhao used an even greater force to pull the alms bowl away. Then he swung the alms bowl at the old monk's face. The old monk was sent flying. The old monk climbed up pathetically, his face filled with shock and anger. "Give me back the alms bowl and golden eagle." Chun Zhao looked at the old monk coldly. The alms bowl in his hand shook violently, as if it would break free from Chun Zhao's control at any moment. But Chun Zhao used an even greater force to suppress it. Just then, the golden eagle hiding in the alms bowl turned into a beam of golden light and tried to escape. But Chun Zhao grabbed it. The golden eagle was about to grow bigger when Chun Zhao grabbed it, but it couldn't push Chun Zhao's hand away. As a result, the eagle was crushed by Chun Zhao. "Evil and unorthodox ways. How dare you kill my golden eagle?" The old monk was furious. His eyes almost popped out. Chapter 32:53. The old monk glared angrily like an Azura, and the golden light on his body turned dark. Chun Zhao acted as if nothing had happened. He took out his phone and even took a photo of the old monk. Then he sent it to the group chat of him, Zhang Tianyi, Bifla, and the 23rd Blood Mary. "Who knows this old monk? Wutai Mountain, Guru Fan Gu," Bifla replied almost instantly. Chun Zhao suspected that Bifla had been playing with his phone the whole time. "Chun Zhao, you have a grudge against this old monk? He is the senior brother of Mount Wutai's sacred master Fan Xian. That Fan Xian's cultivation is not below old Zhang's. Is it that obvious?" "It's obvious. What can I do for you?" Chun Zhao was considering whether to kill the old monk. Hearing that he was from Wutai Mountain, Chun Zhao wondered if it was worth going against Wutai Mountain for him. Chun Zhao had been in contact with the spiritual world for quite some time now. He had heard Mount Wutai. It was said that Mount Wutai was the leader of the Zen sect, just like the other Taoist sects of Mount Longhu. In China, Buddhism and Taoism coexisted. Now, Taoism was slightly suppressing Buddhism. However, Buddhism was still flourishing. No one knew how many peerless experts were hiding behind it, just like this venerable fan in front of him. He wasn't famous, but his strength wasn't weak at all. The old monk slapped at Chun Zhao. It was the Buddhist palm imprint. As the palm struck out, a huge golden Buddha palm pushed out horizontally. Chun Zhao blocked it with his hand. The huge force made him take 2 steps back. At the same time, the Buddhist power seeped into his body and was difficult to expel. The Buddhist power wreaked havoc in Chun Zhao's body. It suppressed Chun Zhao's power. Of course, this bit of Buddhist power was not enough to affect Chun Zhao. However, if he were to continue fighting for a long time, he would accumulate more and more Buddhist power. By then, Chun Zhao would only get weaker and weaker. This was the method of a Buddhist expert. The black and golden light on Fan Gu's body intertwined. He felt like he was watching a magical girl transform. Of course, it was even more visually impactful. Old monk Fan clasped his palms together and shouted, "Revered Ming Liuli!" Monk Fan Gu's body was like a piece of black glass with golden light flowing within it. Moreover, this monk's body gave Chun Zhao a very strange feeling. For some reason, Chun Zhao felt that old Fan's body was indestructible. Logically speaking, with Chun Zhao's current power level, there was almost nothing he couldn't destroy. But this old Fan gave Chun Zhao a feeling that he was hard to break. Old Fan struck out with his palm once more. It was still a Buddhist palm imprint, but it was more than 10 times stronger than the previous one. Chun Zhao punched out and collided with the Buddhist handprint. The Buddhist palm print shattered, but the Buddhist power did not immediately dissipate. Most of them entangled Chen Zhao and seeped into his body. Buddhist spells were indeed troublesome. Chen Zhao thought. Chen Zhao clenched his fists. It seemed that he had to finish this quickly. Chen Zhao exerted all his strength and charged toward Old Fan. Old Fan couldn't dodge in time, and his neck was grabbed by Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao tightened his grip on Old Fan, but Old Fan didn't seem to feel anything. His hands landed on Chen Zhao's chest. Powerful Buddhist power surged into his body again. Chen Zhao punched Old Fan's head as well, but Old Fan only staggered a little. One had to know that Chen Zhao's punch had the power to change the terrain, but Old Fan only staggered a single step. Chen Zhao punched Old Fan once more. This time, his strength increased by several times. Old Fan retreated a few steps, but his body was still unharmed. Old Fan hollered, "Evil demon, I will do justice on behalf of the heavens. Why aren't you giving up? I think your brain is filled with water." Chen Zhao laughed coldly. "Since that's the case, then die." Old Fan's aura increased by several times. Chen Zhao activated the second level of the regression technique, and his strength also increased by 10 times. Old Fan stepped heavily on the ground and got into a sumo pose. He took in a deep breath, and his palms struck out dozens of times. Chen Zhao didn't counterattack this time and allowed the attacks to land on his body. Chen Zhao chose to attack Old Fan directly. Chen Zhao didn't believe that there was really someone who could take his attacks head-on and come out unscathed. Both sides had the same thought. Old Fan also felt that no one could take his attacks head-on. Both sides were a few meters apart and kept exchanging punches and palms. "You hit me, I'll slap you." Indeed, as Chen Zhao had guessed, Old Fan's attacks started to slow down. He started to retreat and defend, while Chen Zhao's attacks were still fierce. It rained down on Old Fan's body. Monk Fan Gu retreated continuously. He was a little dumbfounded by Chen Zhao's attacks. He knew the effects of the Venerable of Light's colored glass. He thought that the Venerable of Light's colored glass could not be forcefully broken. But Chen Zhao's crazy attacks caused his colored glass to be in an extremely unstable state. Moreover, Chen Zhao was bound by his Buddhist power. Logically speaking, he shouldn't be able to use any strength. But Chen Zhao still looked like he was fine. Gradually, Old Fan couldn't take it anymore. Chen Zhao directly pressed Old Fan onto the ground and punched him. Cracks started to appear on Old Fan's colored glass. The surrounding ground was already shattered under Chen Zhao's punches. Finally, with a punch that Chen Zhao had charged up for 3 seconds, the colored glass on Old Fan's body was completely peeled off. "Old bald donkey, you think you can slay demons and defend the Tao?" Chen Zhao grabbed Old Fan's neck and was about to kill him. Suddenly, a person appeared in Chen Zhao's perception. He was also a spiritualist, but he wasn't very strong. The person jumped left and right on the cracked ground and jogged to a place not far from Chen Zhao. "Stop! Who are you? Are you with this old monk?" The person rummaged in his pocket and took out an ID. "I'm from a special intelligence department. Never heard of you." Chen Zhao looked at the ID. "Anyway, you're a government department. Oh, and then, sir, you've already caused great damage here. How much money? I can afford it." Chen Zhao casually replied, "I killed him. As long as I don't have to pay with my life, I can pay any amount." "Sir, I'm more of a law enforcer. I'm afraid it'll be hard for me to answer for killing someone in front of me." The special intelligence officer spoke very carefully. Looking at the changes in the surrounding terrain after the battle, he knew that if Chen Zhao wanted to do something, he wouldn't be able to stop him. Chen Zhao suddenly smiled. "Of course, I should support the work of a law enforcer. But to prevent him from taking revenge in the future, can I take some precautionary measures?" "Precautionary measures? You're talking about sealing magic power." "Yes, physical sealing." Chapter 3254. The agent couldn't wrap his head around it, but the next moment, he heard Fan Gu's scream. Chen Zhao suddenly removed Fan Gu's left hand and then his right hand. The agent couldn't stop him in time. Everything had happened too fast and ended too fast. When Chen Zhao threw away Fan Gu's left and right hand, His broken hand ignited with black flames. This also destroyed his hope of going to the hospital to take over. Chen Zhao kicked Fan Gu's back. Monk Fan Gu's spine shattered, and he flew toward the agents. The agent's expression was awkward. The agent had no choice but to call for an ambulance. After calling the ambulance, the agent walked to Chen Zhao. "Sir, can you cooperate with us for a small investigation?" "Of course. I'm an excellent citizen. It's my duty to cooperate with the investigation. It's not that serious. I just want to ask about the conflict." "It's like this." Chen Zhao looked at Xiao Jiaqiu. "My friend and I were catching up and exchanging experiences. My friend, Miss Xiao Jiaqiu, has a spiritual snake. I'm very experienced in raising spiritual pets, but the old monk's spiritual pet, the golden eagle, suddenly attacked Miss Xiao's spiritual snake. I stopped it and killed the golden eagle. The old monk suddenly appeared and attacked me with the golden alms bowl. You saw what happened next." The agent took a deep breath. With a complicated expression, he said, "Actually, you didn't have to be so heavy-handed. I was afraid he would take revenge. Do you know his identity?" "You mean Wutai Mountain?" "I mean Wutai Mountain. Usually, it's not easy for Wutai Mountain to intervene in a conflict like this, at least when the Special Intelligence Division is involved. If everything is as you said, Wutai Mountain is in the wrong. But you've been so heavy-handed. Even if the Special Intelligence Division intervenes, it won't be easy to deal with the aftermath." It seemed like the agent wasn't planning on siding with Fan Gu. "Then you have to protect me." Panic appeared on Chen Zhao's face. "Sir, it's not clear who's right and who's wrong," the agent said. "It's already the best outcome that we haven't arrested you, let alone protecting you." "I'll give you this amount," Chen Zhao said, lifting a finger. "Sir, our Special Intelligence Department may be short on money, but we won't go so far as to break the rules for money." "All right, since you don't want 10 million, then forget it. We'll just follow your normal procedures." "Are you talking about 10 million yuan with your finger? It's US dollars." "Sir, please wait a moment. I'll make a call to report the situation to my superior." Chen Zhao smiled. Many things in the world could be solved with money. Back in America, many things in the supernatural organization could be solved with money. Here, money could solve a lot of problems. I'm talking about $10 million a year. The special intelligence personnel were even more excited. How much money did their special intelligence department have every year? If Chen Zhao really wanted to sponsor $10 million a year, in that case, he wouldn't have to take the green train every time he went on a business trip. At the very least, he would have to take the bullet train. While the agent was on the phone, Chen Zhao approached Xiao Jiaqiu. "Miss Xiao, are you okay?" Chen Zhao looked at Xiao Jiaqiu with a smile. Xiao Jiaqiu's body was already stiff at this moment. After personally witnessing the battle between Chen Zhao and Fan Gu, he was stunned. She already knew that she couldn't afford to offend Chen Zhao. There were two paths in front of her now. One was to tell the truth to the agent. Then, she would have to face the result of losing her reputation. The other was to cooperate with Chen Zhao. At least, she wouldn't be in danger in the short term. "I'm fine." Xiao Jiaqiu's expression was forced. "If the agent asks, I know how to answer." "Thank you. You just have to tell the truth." Chen Zhao nodded with a smile. It didn't take long for the ambulance called by the agents to arrive. It didn't look like a normal ambulance. Anyway, the agent's partner came with it. "Hello, Mr. Chen. I'm Zhou Yiren, the head of the Special Intelligence Department in East China." "Hello, Minister Zhou." Chen Zhao shook hands with Zhou Yiren. "Mr. Chen, according to my information, you're the president of the Supernatural Organization's North America region?" "Yes." Chen Zhao nodded. "Then why did you come back this time?" "I was invited back by Celestial Master Zhang." Chen Zhao told Zhou Yiren his purpose. Zhou Yiren was surprised by Chen Zhao's answer, but his information showed that Chen Zhao had indeed stayed at Dragon Tiger Mountain for quite a while. Chen Zhao's answer was basically the same as the information he had. "At the same time, I've made some investments." We asked Fan Gu's statement just now. What he said seems to be different from what Mr. Chen said. Wrongdoers always defend themselves. He attacked me first and said that I'm a demon and wanted to kill me. That's the truth. Chen Zhao didn't need to explain further. Whoever the Special Intelligence Department was leaning toward was right. Based on the current situation, they probably wouldn't lean toward Wutai Mountain. Because as the perpetrator, the Special Intelligence Department hadn't taken any forceful measures against him. This meant that the Special Intelligence Department wasn't friendly toward Wutai Mountain or the Buddhists. By the way, the Supernatural Organization of North America is planning to have an exchange with the Special Intelligence Department of China. We'll be responsible for the venue and expenses. Minister Zhou, are you interested? I'm just the person in charge of the East China region, Zhou Yiren said. The Supernatural Organization of North America has just started in the past few years. Their strength isn't good, so it's already difficult for them to have an exchange with the Special Intelligence Department in East China. Also, I plan to set up some rewards during the exchange and invest tens of millions of dollars as rewards. Zhou Yiren's serious expression suddenly brightened up. It couldn't be helped. The Special Intelligence Department was too poor. They only had so little funding each year. The supernatural world was too active in the country, so they had a lot of missions. Especially at the end of the year, the people under them basically started eating instant noodles. Some people even started taking private jobs. Every time they complained to the headquarters, the people there would hold up their instant noodles and say that they were poor too. Will the exchange be held in North America or China? Both are fine, Chen Zhao said. If it's convenient, we can set it in China. If a large number of people from the supernatural world moved across borders, it would attract the attention of related departments. But the Special Intelligence Department was in charge of this. Of course, as long as the procedures are legal, the East China Special Intelligence Department welcomes the supernatural organization to visit and exchange. Chapter 3255. Chen Zhao sat in Zhou Yiren's car. Mr. Chen, I've heard a lot about you. I've heard a lot about you. Chen Zhao glanced at Zhou Yiren. Minister Zhou, you know me? I'm Celestial Master Zhang's outer disciple. I've been in the sect for 20 years. Even though I'm no longer a disciple of Mount Longhu, I still often listen to Celestial Master's teachings. The so-called teachings that Zhou Yiren spoke of were mostly to clean up after him. Then do you know that the person I hate the most is Zhang Tianyi? I know. The Heavenly Master often says that too, Zhou Yiren said. Chen Zhao did not expect Zhou Yiren to be Zhang Tianyi's disciple. It was no wonder that the Special Intelligence Department had been biased towards him ever since he came into contact with them. Logically speaking, he had beaten Old Fan to the point where half of his body was paralyzed. No matter what, he had to strengthen his control over himself, or even directly detain himself. But they did not take any such measures. Of course, it could also be due to the conflict between Buddhism and Taoism, although Buddhism and Taoism had not yet gone to the extent of fighting head-on. However, both sides had probably done this kind of dirty tricks behind the scenes many times. What's going on in Mount Wutai? That monk from Mount Wutai has been taking action all over Huaxian in the past 6 months, and he's specifically fighting against snake-type monsters, spirit beasts, and magical beasts. To raise the golden eagles? Chen Zhao asked. I don't think so. Although the golden eagle is a rare thing, it's obviously not worth the old monks of Mount Wutai running around like this. Zhou Yiren said, Mr. Chen, you should be more careful this time. Those monks are not as kind as they look, especially since their strength is not weak. There are several monks like Fan Gu, and there's also Fan Gu's junior brother, Fan Xin. That monk Fan Xin is the abbot of Mount Wutai. His cultivation is similar to Fan Gu's, but his methods are many times stronger than Fan Gu's. Many years ago, he had a duel with the Celestial Master, and both sides ended in a draw. At that time, the Celestial Master was already in the Shanqing realm, but Fan Gu was half a step into the Shanqing realm. Oh, that's really not weak. Regardless of whether it was a life-and-death battle, they were able to fight a Shanqing realm cultivator without being at a disadvantage. This was already praiseworthy enough, and the person was Zhang Tianyi. Who was Zhang Tianyi? He was the number one person in the Dao sect. Even the Zhang Tianyi from 20 years ago was not someone that just anyone could provoke. But such a powerful Zhang Tianyi was actually unable to control the situation. Now, Fan Xian and Fan Gu's cultivation levels were similar, which meant that they had both entered the enchanting stage. His methods were definitely more powerful than 20 years ago. What's the attitude of the Special Intelligence Department when I became enemies with the monks of Mount Wutai? In principle, we don't advocate taking revenge for personal grudges, but you also know that some things are very difficult for us to manage. We will only try our best to calm the grudges, but if the monks of Mount Wutai look for Mr. Chan in private, we probably can't stop them. Don't you have any ideas? What do you think? At the end of the day, we're just the Imperial Court's lackeys. Look at wuxia novels. The Imperial Court's lackeys don't have many masters. We rely more on the Imperial Court behind us. In other words, if we were to fight, you wouldn't care, right? We can't affect ordinary people, especially people like Mr. Chun. If we really fight, it will cause a lot of damage. We can't start a fight in the city. That's the bottom line. Zhou Yiren paused and then said, secondly, we have to reduce the casualties as much as possible. Whether it's Mr. Chun or Mount Wutai, any casualties will definitely be reported. Zhou Yiren glanced at Chun Zhao. In principle, the physical seal that Mr. Chun used on Fan Gu is actually a pretty good choice. Chen Zhao could vaguely feel that Zhou Yiren seemed to be looking forward to the conflict between Chun Zhao and Mount Wutai. Of course, Chen Zhao personally hoped that this matter would end here. On one hand, it was troublesome. On the other hand, Chun Zhao didn't want to be used as a tool. However, Chun Zhao also knew that he had crippled Fan Gu. This was already a grudge. Minister Zhou, if I really start a fight with the monks of Mount Wutai, I can't guarantee that there won't be any casualties. After all, if we fight, fists and feet have no eyes. Who can guarantee that they won't go too hard? Then let's find a remote place. Zhou Yiren's words became vague again. Chen Zhao was even more speechless. Zhou Yiren's attitude didn't seem to be persuading him at all. Instead, it seemed like he was adding fuel to the fire. Zhou Yiren sent Chun Zhao to the hotel. Mr. Chun, call me if there's anything. I'm leaving now. Goodbye. Goodbye. Not long after Chun Zhao returned to his room, Xiao Jiaqio came to his door. Mr. Chun. Xiao Jiaqio stood in front of Chun Zhao's door, terrified. What's the matter? Miss Xiao. I'm here to apologize. Chun Zhao laughed. Xiao Jiaqio was an extremely egotistical person. How could she apologize sincerely? She was just scared by Chun Zhao now, so she submitted to him. As for her actions, she didn't repent at all. There was no sincerity in her apology. Whether she apologized or not, it was meaningless. She was still alive now because it wasn't convenient for Chun Zhao to kill her. If it was convenient, Chun Zhao even wanted to blame her death on the monks of Mount Wutai. Miss Xiao, I think there's no need for this insincere apology. I didn't kill you then, so I won't kill you in the future. As long as you know what to say and what not to say. As for what you did in the past, it's not my business or the police's business. Mr. Chun, other than apologizing, I also want to ask for your help. Miss Xiao, we don't have any deep grudges, but we're not so close that we can help each other. But other than you, I can't think of any other way. Then keep thinking. There are always more solutions than difficulties. Chun Zhao was a classic example of saying things without thinking. Mr. Chun, I'm begging you. Remember the people from the Special Intelligence Division? You can find them. They'll definitely have more ideas than me. They're the ones who said they were looking for you. Chun Zhao's expression was somewhat unhappy. Tell me, what's the matter? The Special Intelligence Division member said that the snake demon attached itself to me, causing me and the snake demon to become one. It's very likely that I'll also lose my human form. How can a possession be a fusion? That two-legged snake doesn't have that ability. Only a spirit can possess a body. He has his own body, so how can he become one with you? I don't know, but I have a feeling that the Special Intelligence Division member seems to know my situation. What did he say? He said that my situation is a bit complicated. If I want to solve my current problem, I'll need enough spiritual power. Chapter 32:56. Chun Zhao smiled at Xiao Jiaqio. Chun Zhao could only gloat at Xiao Jiaqio. He didn't know what Xiao Jiaqio's situation was, but he wouldn't help Xiao Jiaqio. Chen Zhao was too merciful not to let her die on the spot. Chen Zhao also vaguely realized why he hadn't recognized Xiao Jiaqio back then. It wasn't just Xiao Jiaqio's aura mixed with the two-legged snakes. Everything about them seemed to be merging. Xiao Jiaqio wanted to enter Chen Zhao's room, but Chen Zhao blocked the door. Xiao Jiaqio's eyes seemed to be saying that she was willing to pay any price, as long as Chen Zhao was willing to help her. But Chen Zhao's attitude was firm. In the end, Xiao Jiaqio could only leave in disappointment. Perhaps there was even some resentment. Chen Zhao contacted Steven. Steven and the film crew's filming had come to an end. It would probably take around 10 more days and some reshoots. Usually, when Chen Zhao contacted Steven, he would send him places he visited or good food he ate. It could always make Steven excited, and then he would talk trash with Chen Zhao. Knock, knock. Chen Zhao opened the door and saw Zhou Yiren, his subordinates, and Xiao Jiaqio. Chen Zhao looked at Xiao Jiaqio in surprise. Could this woman invite the Special Intelligence Department? Mr. Chen, please come in. Chen Zhao could ignore Xiao Jiaqio, but he had to respect Zhou Yiren. Mr. Chen, I actually came to ask for a favor from you. Chen Zhao glanced at Xiao Jiaqio. For her? For our Special Intelligence Department. Does she have a strong background? Chen Zhao asked. She's a celebrity. I don't understand. We need to solve the funding problem, so we need to expand our influence. After the spiritual energy tide, many special departments have chosen to expose themselves. The country doesn't object to exposing them without revealing secrets. Miss Xiao is our choice. She's famous and can be considered a member of the spiritual world. She also has great potential. If we can solve her problem, she'll be a good spokesperson for us and also our name card to communicate with the outside world. Chen Zhao rubbed his chin and was silent for a while. I'm unfamiliar with her situation. I don't know what her condition is, so I don't know how to help her. As long as I have enough magic power, it will be enough. Zhou Yiren said. He really wanted to say that he didn't have enough mana. However, Zhou Yiren was Zhang Tiany's disciple. Zhang Tiany must have told him many things about himself. Therefore, this excuse probably wouldn't work. What do you need me to do? Is there any risk? I don't like putting myself in danger. There's no risk. In fact, the reason why Miss Xiao and the snake demon she possessed appeared was that the snake demon wanted to transform into a flood dragon, but its magic power was not enough, so it needed to constantly absorb and devour flesh and blood. Now that it has possessed Miss Xiao's body, it is indirectly treating Miss Xiao as its food. However, Miss Xiao is the host, and the flesh and blood it absorbs will eventually feed back to Miss Xiao, eventually forming a special cycle. To break this cycle, the snake demon can only evolve into a flood dragon, so it needs Mr. Chen's huge magic power to help the snake demon transform into a flood dragon. What should I do exactly? We will set up a spirit array. You only need to inject your magic power into the spirit array through the spirit array and catalyze the snake demon to transform into a flood dragon. Is it that simple? Can any magical beast evolve through this method? Of course, it's not that easy. The failure rate is quite high. The snake demon only has a 30% chance of transforming into a flood dragon. If it fails, it will explode from the overload of magic power. Chen Zhao had originally been scheming. Hearing such a high failure rate, he immediately dismissed the idea. Fan Xan stood before his senior, Fan Gu. Senior. Fan Xian's expression was calm. It was as if his senior's injury had nothing to do with him. The technique he cultivated was very special. It was the Buddhist calming heart technique. The technique itself was not difficult at all. It was just that he could not have emotions of great sorrow or great joy. It was not difficult to maintain neither joy nor sorrow for a short period of time, but it was difficult to not be able to do so for a lifetime. Once he became emotional, he would break the technique. Fan Xian, on the other hand, was born without emotions. Thus, the calming heart technique seemed to have been made for him. Fan Gu opened his eyes. His reaction was completely different from Fan Xian's. The moment he saw Fan Xian, he was instantly enraged. Junior? You're finally here. You have to avenge me. Tell me what happened. Who did you meet? Who broke your revered Ming glaze? Was it a kid? I don't know where he came from, Fan Gu said agitatedly. My light glaze is completely broken. Is it possible to repair it? Fan Xin looked at the armless Fan Gu. She had already learned from the doctor about Fan Gu's condition. Not only had Fan Gu lost his arms, but his spine had also been broken by a kick. The attack had been vicious and left no room for maneuver. The opponent clearly had no intention of letting him stand up again. Was there a way to transplant a pair of arms with a spell? Or he could directly use a treasured artifact as a prosthetic limb? But his spine had been broken? That was not something that could be solved with spells. What about nerve tissue? Even spells would not be able to repair it. Unless one had extremely strong self-healing abilities, others would not be able to help. Thus, even if Fan Gu's light glaze hadn't been broken, he would probably not be able to use it again. Fan Xin took out a pearl that had been broken into several pieces. This was Fan Gu's light glaze pearl. It was also a treasure that he had nurtured for his entire life. Was this light glaze technique special? First, it was refined and fused with the essence of a mountain or earth. After a successful fusion, the user would have the physique of a mountain or earth, unless it was an attack that could break a mountain or shatter the earth. Otherwise, the light glaze technique would be almost impossible to break. All of the enemy's attacks would be transferred to the mountain or earth that had been fused with it. Fan Gu had fused with 3 mountains. But Fan Gu had not expected that the person he had provoked would be his nemesis. The light glaze technique was a technique that Fan Gu had cultivated for decades. Now that the technique had been broken, it was not as simple as being broken. It was because Chun Zhao had shattered Fan Gu's light glaze technique. Even the 3 mountains that he had fused with had been affected and destroyed. This was why Fan Xin had come looking for Chun Zhao. Fan Gu's defeat was nothing to be surprised about. There were countless people with special abilities in China, so it was not surprising that there were a few who could defeat Fan Gu. But those who could break Fan Gu's light glaze technique could be counted on one hand. Before Fan Xin had arrived, she had even thought that Fan Gu had encountered Zhang Tianyi. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.